been fairly lucky.
You can sit on the chair.
Cool. I've been fairly lucky to not have too many injuries.
That's great.
You know, and
seemed like Jay was a little bit that way too.
Jay was like that.
He had torn bicep and a couple things, but
that was at the end
for a long career. You know,
you got to think at the end. At the end, everybody's gonna tear something. Knock on wood. You know, like my goal is to be able to get this job done with the least amount of problems, so then I can transition out the way that I had envisioned.
Right.
You know, Dorian torn this, torn that, torn this, torn that. I mean, a lot of guys, you know, but it seems like Lee Haney's the only one, him and Arnold, that really had long run. And I'm sure they got nicks, bruises, but nothing major. So
I think bodybuilding, you know, that for a lot of the guys, the slow, controlled movements. I know you guys do all kinds of different training, but with the majority of the training being slow and controlled, it might be you know, more healthy than, let's say, like weightlifting or powerlifting. Weightlifters don't last very long. Olympic weightlifters, they do it for like 3 years, 4 years.
Yeah, you see that. I've seen those guys because you know, this gym had at one point in time a lot of guys that were strongman competition and like powerlifting meets, and you don't see them. What happened? Oh, my back got fucked up. Oh, I tore a bicep. And I'm like, I can't tear a muscle ever. Like, if I do, it's a wrap. Like, you know, you can't do arm poses for a magazine. Well, not a magazine anymore, but you know what I'm saying, for promotional shit. And not have. And I mean, like you said, I mean, Jay had his arm get messed up weeks before the Olympia. You know, picked up a couple 110s. Literally picked him up, dropped it, and was like, I think I tore my bicep.
Yeah, he wasn't even doing biceps.
Nope. And that's
the stuff sometimes that can get you.
Well, what bodybuilders don't realize, and maybe even general public, is that, and this happens a lot in you guys' world, it's like if you run that car really hard, you mess up the timing belt, like how that time, and then it's like you don't even notice it until it like snaps and it breaks, and then you're like, oh shit, I can't even start my car. It was fine just yesterday.
And
it's like no, dude, like it was over time. You wore these tendons out. Over time you messed this ligament
up. It's the
up.
American way too, to worry about it way too late.
Well, we're always like in our head, we got all the potions in the world going. You already have some ego. You have to have it. And then you got the music. And you got the environment. It took me a long time in my career to realize like having a controlled aggression is key. And what I don't think people do, like initially, you know, when you're first starting to get ready, you're like thinking about all this crazy shit. Like if someone put a gun up to my girl's head, I'm going to lift this weight or whatever it is. And it's like at some point in time, I think for me, I had to realize who the fuck I am. What I've already accomplished,
which is hard to figure out.
Right. So you got to figure out who the fuck you are. What are your weaknesses mentally and emotionally? Physically, you can figure this out. Like weights will help that.
Right.
But mentally and emotionally, how do you handle stress? Like how do you handle anxiety? How do you handle depression? How do you handle these things? Because that's going to translate into those workouts for the long run. Maybe, you know, short term, you know, when everything is good, you always know, like when someone breaks up with a girlfriend, they're in the gym and they're getting fucking huge. But what about when everything is going well?
Yeah.
They're kind of just like lazy, you know, and it's not about always proving somebody wrong. It's more like knowing who you are, knowing where you came from. You know, I was reading about you and Mark Magna. Like you guys had it rough, you know, growing up and this and that.
Right.
So I can relate, you know, and I'm like, but that enabled both of you to kind of figure out what you don't want in life, and how to go after it. Because you knew if you didn't, you'd be back there, and that was not an option. So with the bodybuilding, they get so like really mental, and they do it for the cameras, that they don't realize that Bruce Lee didn't have to run his damn mouth to go punch someone clear across the room with 1 inch. How was he able to do that? And he had some type of Zen mindset and shit. But I think in bodybuilding,
that's a really cool clip when you see those old clips.
Isn't it crazy? But I don't think people understand that why wouldn't you possess the same energy? You know, you're this ball of energy that can lift these crazy ass weights and do all this other stuff, grow these muscles. So you don't think that you can harness this?
What's usually your go-to? You know, like everyone has like a go-to song, right?
Oh.
But what's not your go-to song, but what's your go-to thing in your mind? Like, is there something that happened in your life that somebody put you down, somebody, you know, talks? Is there like that one piece that kind of works every time for the PRs and stuff like that? It
started with that. It started with, but I used a lot of that to play basketball, right? Because I was always short. So then when I started bodybuilding, you know, I never really, I because of the early success I had, I was always talked about.
Right.
And then when I turned pro, you know, I turned pro in 2005, competed in 2006 twice, didn't do the Olympia, had people at the Olympia competing, talking shit to me in the audience. I never got a break at all. So then I was like, fuck these guys, I'm going to prove them wrong and this and that. I'm going to keep coming back. And then that got exhausting.
Right.
Because you're never going to win that battle. There's always going to be someone that tell you can't. People said I would never be Mr. Olympia, and I got 7 now. And then when I won my first one, I said I want to go for 10, and then people thought I was an asshole, cocky prick. These are quotes. But that's because they put limitations on me. So what I learned is, what the go-to is there is no limit.
Right.
There is no limit. Only in here. That's it.
You use that as fuel.
I have to. There is no limit. Like, there's infinite ability. All I got to do is refine my process. So when I'm training, it might happen today. Like, you know, you start getting your groove and you're in that zone. You say, oh, we're doing 10 to 12. And then you just say, fuck it, man, I'm doing 20.
Right.
You know, and it may hurt and this and that, but I got to prove it to myself. It ain't about showing out and showing off. I got to prove this to myself that I'm okay. And I guess my go-to is the fact that it has to happen on my worst fucking day of this prep. See, that's how I win. Because I'm able to do it when I'm not feeling well. I could be sick. I could have some type of, my relationship's great, so I don't have any problems with that. But like, it could be a family issue. I mean, when Dallas died, man, I was fucking beat up with that, man. I mean, I cried in this gym doing legs in the back room, and people were looking at me like I done lost my damn mind. And one guy looked at me and was like, "I know," and I'm like, I still have to train.
Yeah.
And I just thought, you have a job. Your objective is to continue to be your absolute best, which should yield the best in the world. If I lose, man, I suck, right? After winning 7, tied with Arnold. So I have to say, focus on the craft. That's all that matters. Block out all the other stuff. It doesn't mean that you won't get affected. It's just that my emotional intelligence is greater than my physical prowess in the battlefield.
Why do you think people end up being so much the same? You know, like, you know, one guy might score 30 points a game, and then the next year the guy scores 30.5 points per game. Like, relatively, people are pretty close, except for some of the guys that have won Mr. Olympia contest. There's only a select few. But even as far as you've gone, there's a couple guys who've done what you've done, and you're going to tie this year, right?
Yep.
Ronnie Coleman and Lee Haney.
Right.
Like, and there's a lot of guys in powerlifting. There's a lot of 600-pound benchers. There's a lot of 800-pound squatters. And it's like a lot of people are real close, but every once in a while you get like a Babe Ruth.
Yeah.
You know, Babe Ruth hit more home runs than the whole entire National League in baseball.
Right.
Like 10 teams or whatever that was.
Yes. I think you recognize where you're at. You recognize who you are. And I keep going back to that because, you know, you always hear when kids are graduating high school, I'm just trying to figure out my life.
Mm-hmm.
Shit, man, what were you doing the other summers? You weren't planning for that day. Did you not think you would ever graduate? So it's like, oh, I'm going to take a year off because I need to get ready for another show. Let's say, I'm going to take a year off and get ready for Arnold Classic next year. You know how many fucking guys actually do that and show up looking like shit? A lot of them.
Yeah.
Because they postpone, they just put it on the back burner for no reason because maybe they're scared. you have to get over being scared of success. It's like when you're in, high school, where were all the jackasses in the back running their mouth, being funny and shit like that? They weren't up front because the people up front are trying to learn.
All those guys still live in the same area, all doing the same shit.
Trust me, I mean, I was clowning with some of them, but I still got my work done. I was trying to always balance, like, being the cool dude that plays sports, that could hang out with the thugs, talk shit, but then not too much because the teacher would always pick on me and not them. So that meant, I should probably recognize who I am to this teacher. One day I said to a teacher, a history teacher, 11th grade, I said, why are you always picking on me? She goes, I'm going to tell you straight up. That guy, all those guys, they're going to be on that corner. Rainier and Henderson, that's a famous corner in Seattle. Like Rainier and Henderson, that's a famous corner for drug activity and bullshit. She's like, they're going to be on Rainier and Henderson because they're there right now. They're going to be there for the rest of their life. You are supposed to do something better. That's why I pick on you, because I expect greater. So then as I got older, I started realizing, like, man, like, everybody's judging me really hard, man. It could be people judging me online. It could be physical judges, like, and I had to revert back to that. I'm like, because they expect greater from you. And Flex Wheeler actually was talking to me about that around the time I won my first one. He was like, I can never get over that. He was like, it bothered him that the pressure, that everybody put this unnecessary pressure on him. When you see his interviews, he talked about it quite a bit. I later on just said, I've been a winner my whole life, even when I lost, because I figured I could learn. And I was always taught to have a high willingness to learn from your mistakes. Therefore, you won't do them again. And having that killer instinct, was not like where you have to intimidate this dude or this bodybuilding, man. Like, you ain't boxing and shit. Yeah. So you got to go in there with more of a controlled mindset of saying, I got this objective, I'm going to murder these ways, but how I do it is what's going to yield the result. And then, I realized even recently, I'm like, Phil, people look at you from a stronger magnifying lens than the second place guy, the third place, fourth place, fifth place guy. So don't get insecure when someone is rooting for them. Number one, they have every right to do what they want. As a matter of fact, they all look great. Number two, sometimes people like the underdog. But number three, honestly, they're not looking at them with the same lens they're looking at you. So for people that want to be successful in life, once you start hitting that success and you start feeling that pressure from others, and most of the time it's from people that can't even do what you do, but they're looking at you through this lens that's like, it's like LeBron James right now. Like, LeBron did the unimaginable, played all those games, game sevens in the Eastern Conference just to get to the finals, get swept, and people are like, oh, that's fucked up, ha ha ha. It's like, do you see what he did? You see what he did? Like, you can't even appreciate what he did, and he had to realize it ain't about any of them. It's about me and what my ability is. I know who I am.
Can you imagine how strong his mindset is?
He has to. I think we all kind of share similarities with that, because he's in his 15th season playing his best ball, and unfortunately he wasn't the champion, but I think everybody knows who he is. So once he realized that his name, because of his success, was chasing legacies, Shaq, Kobe, Jordan, Kareem, shit like that, he kind of could probably realize that, okay, I'm where I need to be, now I need to go further. But you see Kobe Bryant kind of gave him a hard time, like, recently, right? Yeah. It's because they expect greater from him. Yeah. By Kobe saying what he said about LeBron, it means that he respects him.
I'll just charge him up.
He wants to, because we want to see something we never seen. So, like, I had to take into account that when I get critiqued by people, whether they're a judge or just a casual fan, a lifter of some sort, the main thing they don't know is what's in here and what's up here. They see here, but they don't know what goes behind the scenes. They don't know the days that are good, the days that are awful, because I don't do a lot of these videos. So, yeah, and honestly, I'm not the type of guy to start crying about my worries and shit. Like, I don't like doing that. I don't that sounds like violins and flutes and shit.
Yeah.
If anyone knows me, I'm the one that when I walk in the room, I want to hear thunderous drums and trumpets because that's king shit. So
You seem to be pretty positive.
I think at this point you just have to.
You ever cry from shitty workouts or?
I've gotten pissed, man.
Yeah.
Like really upset with myself.
It means a lot, right?
It means everything. I mean,
you have 1 or 2 bad workouts in a row, then you're like, fuck.
I've literally gone to this office, go in that bathroom, stare at myself in the mirror because I ain't gonna do it in the public one and be like, what the fuck are you doing?
Talking out loud to yourself?
Yeah, like what are you doing? And then just staring, and it's not like staring like, it's like seeing you through that glass and being like, you woke up this morning, you didn't have the right frame of mind, and that's why you had the fucking bad workout. It ain't just happening here. It happened how you woke up or how you went to bed. You didn't have your mind focused. So attention to detail in any sport is strong. So
your actions aren't matching up to your goals.
No. So you
said one thing and you're doing another.
Right. And you're not holding yourself accountable without like tearing yourself down. Like you can't tear yourself down. You can't be like, man, I suck at oh man. It's more like, fuck, this hurts. How do I fix this? And I gotta fix it now. Because in my mind, Ramy, Dexter, Bonac, Roden, Rulli, all those guys, when I'm having a bad day, I expect them to have their best day in their life. So if they're having their best day, and I'm assuming they're having their best day, their best workout, everything is perfect, and I'm having a 50% day, I gotta change that shit. Otherwise, you have too many of those days, they start catching up. So you can have like a moment, and I think with practice, mental focus, and exercises, you realize how to become more cerebral with your actions. You're not just walking in there blind, and that honestly, like if anyone pays attention to like martial arts or anything, the grandmasters, the 4th degree black belts, those type of people are so fucking energy based that they just know, dude. Like they know black belt can lose to white belt if they don't respect certain things, but they know who they are and what they're capable of doing. So they don't really stress too much about the situation because it's all about them, not the opponent. So my opponent is these weights. It's not the competition. I can't control that shit, but I can control my attitude and how I present myself in the gym. Like I said, I mean, there's days where I walk in here and I'm smiling and hey, and there's other days that people are kind of like running out the door because they're like, this guy's fucking pissed, dude. But overall, it's about what did that get me? Did that give me the performance that I needed? So I think as long as the answer is yes, then I succeeded.
Are you more excited about winning championships or putting other people in second place?
That's a good one because I think when it comes to like trash talking stuff, I mean, of course, like, and I'll just say this, someone would have to be a complete idiot to want to talk trash to a former basketball player. Basketball players talk the most trash. You go to any rec center.
That's why I went off on that guy because I used to do professional wrestling.
Right. So
like,
you can't you can't talk trash. So yeah, like wrestling, basketball, like it's so much trash talk.
That's all it is.
It's like all day. There's been more fights on a basketball court than I've ever seen on a football field and even hockey. It's like over a point or a foul. So I grew up with that. So if I'm thinking about this stuff, that's when I'll be like, oh well, look at the sandals in my house, or how did it feel when your guy got beat last year? But they already know that feeling.
Mm-hmm.
So it's almost like, how much energy am I putting out to the negative? And honestly, some of it is funny, and a lot of fans would be like, "Oh man, like you're Mr. Olympia, you shouldn't be talking like that to people and this and that." It's like, no. I'm on the toilet probably taking a shit, answering these freaking messages, laughing my ass off. You know what I'm saying? Like literally, like just being like, this guy really thinks that he's bothering me? Like, dude, like, all right. Because if it did bother me, why have I gone through the most adversity of any Mr. Olympia? I've gone through more adversity, on paper, than any other Mr. Olympia. I've gone through businesses failing, marriage failed, father passing, stepmom passing, injury, and then the whole social media era.
It's all new, yeah.
I'm the first one, so I've gone through it all, and the way that I did it was to kind of learn how to have fun. So if that means that someone wanted to talk a little trash and I have fun with them, so be it. So to answer your question, I mean, to me, it's about who's going to get second, because it ain't going to be me. I'm getting first, and I don't give a shit who gets second. But I wonder who's going to get it, and people say, "Oh, that's arrogant." That's this. It's like, guys, like, if you won something, if you beat me in Call of Duty or Madden 7 games in a row,
it's not a rivalry.
It's not a rivalry. You're going to be talking. If anything, they're going to be talking trash. They're like, "Yeah, man, you want some more? You want some?" They can, on that headset, they're going to be talking trash. I'm not even doing that. I'm not hitting up. I just texted Dexter earlier today, just talking trash. I ain't got no problem with these people. Now, game day, that's different. But if their camp says stuff, then we go 0 dark 30 on their ass. And I think I've enabled the industry to realize that those competitors that say something, I will hold you accountable. The world won't.
Right.
Because remember, at the press conference last year, Ramy said that he was going to show us something we have never seen before.
And there's going to be a price to pay when someone says stuff like that.
So this is where the magnifying lens comes in. If they use the same lens they use on me, if I said that on him, he would be looked at cocky, arrogant, this, and this. But no, people don't even remember him saying it. So that lets me know I have more power than them.
Yeah, and they're like, why is Phil all charged up? Why is he being a jerk?
Yeah, like they would literally light me up on fire. And I think in this type of industry, at this level, you have to become comfortable with misunderstanding from others. You have to be okay with it. Otherwise, you're always going to be trying to people please people, man. The only people you need to please are those judges. That's it. Like, and if your girl likes it, great. If she don't, you're doing what you want to do. So I'm just serious. I mean, I didn't grow up with bodybuilding parents. They're into basketball and stuff. So when I started, they weren't like, "Oh yeah, let's go." They were like, "I don't know what this is." So I had to do it for me. So I would say I want to. It's like, how old are you?
41.
Okay, so we're on the same age. So I'm 38. So remember Mortal Kombat?
Yeah.
Okay, so how does it start? And he goes up the ladder, right?
Yeah.
So that's how I treated Mount Olympus. Is the first time winners, the second time winners, the third time, the fourth time, and then it was the 7th, then the 8th, right? Now I'm at the 8th level, the last one, and then there's like the bonus round, right?
Yeah.
That's how I envision it. So I'm like, where are the other guys? Only Dexter has one that competing. So it's not to talk trash about them, it's to remind myself and validate where I come from. So now I realize it's not necessarily about me competing against them, it's about me competing against myself. And we're competing against legacy here. I'm going against Lee Haney and Ronnie Coleman. That's how I look at it. Now, if I have that mindset, I'm going to win. But if I have that mindset of worrying about the second place dude or the third place dude, you'll be like that girl that got snatched up by the USC girl in that 4x400. That shit will happen because you didn't have it in your mind that it was about sprinting through the finish line. It was about busting through the barriers. It was about literally your soul has to be on fire, and it has to be to the point where you have emotions come out in tears. You have to, like, I'm willing to go that far. You could interview Hani 2-3 years ago. I was training with him in San Jose, and we were doing legs, and he made me at the end do walking lunges. Now, I fucking hate walking. I can't stand them. I just can't. My knees are old from playing ball. It's just, my form is terrible. I mean, hey, form's bad. You ain't going to have me having those 315-pound like Ronnie Coleman doing that shit. It's just not going to happen. But I did it. And he made me go like 5 rounds through this long-ass gym. And it was right after, it was a year my dad passed. So, like, it was already tough as it is. But it was funny because Cherie was there, my fiance. She was like, honey, why he can't, she told me this later. She goes, he can't do anymore. She goes, watch. He goes, watch. He goes, I gave him an unbeatable task. Like, he ain't supposed to do this, but she's like, just watch. And I break down in the middle of a gym. It was at like EOS Fitness or some shit. I can't remember the gym. Here, I'm giving out shout outs to gyms, right? Send the check. But I'm literally in pain, and I got broken down to my knees. I'm on my knees in this gym, and I got tears. I wasn't like, it was just like, and I'm like, I can't see, I can't breathe. And then it was like, Pops was like, if your feet can touch the ground, you can get your ass back to work. That's what my granddad used to say.
Yeah.
And they're from Texas, so of course they're like major macho ego, let's
hard
go,
asses.
hard ass dudes. So it was like, I'm still breathing. I'm not dead. I have to finish. And I finished it. And when Cherie told me that, she was like, yeah, I didn't understand. She knew I worked hard, but she was like, I didn't understand why he did that until it was done. And then, she was like, you were in pain. And I could see it. And it was almost like, make it stop. Throw in the towel, like make it stop. And it's like, wait, he can do it. So I think those moments are essential. Those stories, you have to go through that type of stuff. And I do it by myself. Holly doesn't train me throughout the year. I train myself. So who's yelling in my ear? Nobody. Fucking stereo in my headphones. That's it. So it's like the mental aspect, the approach, and then the emotional part. You have to be here to do the you have to.
Yeah.
If you're not comfortable with that, you'll get exposed. And I mean, I'm giving out a lot of free game right now to these other competitors, but it's like, I hate to say it, but you have to have practiced this for a long period of time to master it.
You can build it up, right?
Like, they could try it now, and it's like, well,
it takes decades to build your mind. Yeah,
it takes a lot, because who wants that pressure? No one wants Phil Heath pressure.
It's not bad to do it for a week,
right?
Not for 2 weeks or 3 weeks or 6 months.
No one wants to be judged like me, and that also is the point where I've never seen someone really truly say, I want all the smoke that Phil Heath gets. I want all of it. And see, that's how I knew I wanted to be Mr. Olympia. I'll tell you a quick story. 2010 Mr. Olympia, I told this before, 2010 Mr. Olympia, I placed second to Jay, right? If you look on YouTube, Bob Chickarillo, he's taking his sweet ass time, next thing I read is going to be the 2010 Mr. Olympia, and it's Jay Cutler, boom. Everybody's, hey, shake hands, you did good. If you watch closely, I exhaled. Now, why the fuck did I do that? I did it because there's no pressure being second place. And earlier that same year, I got second place to Kai Green at the Arnold Classic, which was somewhat controversial. I was up by 3, lost by 7. Largest point swing in bodybuilding history. No one talked about it. Still to this day. Except me. And then what did I tell myself? I got to make sure that guy never beats me again. Kai Green. He'll never beat me again. That's why I told myself, never going to beat you again. Because this guy's going to be battling with Jay Cutler if you don't get your shit right.
Why did he beat you?
I don't know.
I mean, other than the weird swing.
I mean, if I'm going to be a very honest and nice person about this, I would say his maturity, Kai Green's density is at that time, it was far greater than mine. His density alone. My roundness was better. My conditioning was just as good, if not better. My muscles are more 3D. They pop, but his hanging muscle is what got him there. And they usually call that being more polished.
Right.
So that was a show where I realized you did everything in your power to come out and shock the world, and you did. And a lot of his friends came up to me after the show was over, true story, and said that if he doesn't get his shit together, he'll never beat you again. And he never did. So I could have took that and cried and blamed judges and this and that. But then I realized, ain't no one going to be singing no pity party for Phil Heath. No one ever has. Even when I was a kid, no one ever gave a shit. So why do I need to be sulking when I can go get better? And this is a simple question. You ask yourself in the mirror, can I get better today? Can I get better? Yeah. All right. So then why am I pointing fingers? Because I got 3 pointing back at me.
All right.
See, so
I always tell people, it's overwhelming if you try to think about getting better at everything all at once.
Yeah.
If you work on just a couple of things at a time, it's not that hard.
No. And practice does not make perfect because you can practice bad habits. It's the most commonly used phrase in all sports. Practice makes perfect. No, it doesn't, because if you practice stupid shit, you're going to do stupid shit. It's just the way it is. And we see a lot of stupid shit in the world, so don't do that. Like, perfect practice does. So, find out what works just for you. And then, right, like in bodybuilding, own that contraction so much to where your mind and your muscle are together. So then when you go back in the gym, you replicate that perfect rep every time. So it's the person who replicates the perfect way every time for their body type that gets the most growth. It's just the way it is. If you don't, you're just going in there with reckless abandonment and doing all this shit. And yeah, it looks cool, but in bodybuilding, you're trying to channel fibers that aren't activated.
What do they say? Don't mistake activity for achievement.
Right.
That's an old basketball saying.
Oh yeah, yeah. And you have to be, those muscles, if they're not firing, you're not gonna grow. It's just the way it is. Especially when you start getting lean. I mean, I will say now, because I hold more leaner, my skin texture's probably its best later in my career. Like, it's more thin, so I can see the muscles contract. I can see, so it's easy to say you feel it, but when you can see it, then it gives you that added motivation to do that shit again. That shit look cool. But people watching this, it's like, how many times did you replicate a perfect rep? Probably didn't. We're going to do back today. You know how many people are going to be like, oh, that's not a lot of weight. And it's like, that's funny, because when you guys do 315 or 405 on these bent rows, all I see is they like put their chest out and then go like that. It's like, you couldn't just sit here and go like this with no back movement. If that means you can only do one plate, then start there, fool.
Right.
Like, this ain't strongman. This ain't powerlifting. You ain't got to impress nobody. But if your ass is in here saying you a bodybuilder and we don't see no improvement, oh man, you done wasted. And we all know, to be a bodybuilder, it takes a lot of sacrifice with your money. So you done messed up your money and possibly your health for no gains. So that's where this has to be well. Like, you have to be, even in your worst days, even your worst adversity, you know how to focus on the craft and replicate the perfect situation. And know, like, oh, well, today we're doing incline press and it just didn't feel right, then I need to go to an incline machine. Maybe that works better. And learn, like, we could do it today. Like, we'll be doing lat pull downs or something. I'll be like, man, this shit don't work for me. You can keep doing what you're doing. I'm going to do something different because I know what I need. And, oh, come on, man. Like, you just no, I just know what I need. I just know what I need. So I think that's something that, Is
there ever a time where you just leave the gym?
Never. I think I left.
There's not like shit, man, my shoulder or something, like, I
just don't.
Or just not feeling good, period. And it's just like, it makes more sense to just cut it and go home, because that's got to be a tough decision.
That's where I think playing basketball helped. Was like, your coaches would see, like, maybe we've played a back-to-back or a game in, like, 2 games in 3 days, and the team is tired because they got another game in 2 days, so why run them and practice hard?
Right.
So they'll try to run you hard, and then they kind of get an indication, like, these guys are fucking dragging. If we do this for 2 hours, we're going to get nothing out of it. We're going to get diminishing returns. So coach would always come up, and I didn't even realize this until I became a real adult, is he would say, okay, we could screw around and this and that for 2.5 hours, or we can go hard and sharp for 35, 40 minutes and get the hell out of here. What do you guys say? So in bodybuilding, I've had those moments where I'm like, man, I shorten up the workout. Maybe I take no rest in between sets. I just go. And I'm forcing the intensity just through that. It may not be the weight, it's just the no rest. And that's something that's shocking my body because I haven't done it. So then I'm like, well, sure, you'll be like, home early? And I'm like, yeah, this happened. And she's like, oh, well, at least you got it done. So I don't have the genetics people think I do, where I could just be like, oh, no, I just don't feel it, man. I'm just going to go home. I have to get something. I can always do something. I can stretch. I could do cardio. I could do glute work. I could do, a lot of different things. I remember filming. I was filming one of my DVDs one day years ago, and then I was doing back, and I felt like I was like six weeks out from Olympia, and I felt like my lat was tearing. So I was like, man, this don't feel right. It was like off the first set. I was like, this isn't right. So I had to cut the video shoot, take 10 minutes and figure out what happened. I'm replaying what happened. I was like, Phil, it doesn't matter. It's not about how this happened. It's about how you got up that morning or the previous day. You've been dehydrated because it's been 90 degrees outside here in Denver. And anyone who's traveled to Denver, number one, we're in high altitude, so you're going to be dehydrated. Number two, it's dry heat, so you're going to be even more dehydrated. And now you want to take pre-workout, which has caffeine in it, which is a vasoconstrictor, with creatine, which does cause cramping. So with not enough water, and now you're getting a pump. The fuck you think's gonna happen? Something's gonna feel like it's tearing because there's not enough fluid in the body to make it work. So I got mad at myself. I was like, I'm such an idiot. I'm gonna drink some water. Let me see what happens. Drink a whole 20 ounces of water, come out and say, okay, we're gonna do chest and back. That way I'm getting both. I'm not just doing all back because I know that there is a twinge, so I'm not gonna aggravate that. But I'm gonna do push and pull. And then I made a great video out of it. So, sometimes you have to be creative.
You got an audible kind of.
You have to be willing to listen to yourself. I mean, I listen to Hani about, the diet and this and that, but I mean, I have to listen to my muscle.
Oh, who can tell you about being 9-time Mr. Olympia?
No one can tell you but your body. That's right. It, right?
Well, if you're the only one that's doing something, you're starting to get into uncharted territory.
Yeah, so you have to, we've had to scrap the blueprint after number 5 was one. We literally had to we were like, this is a different physique. That's when I started getting grainier, in the legs and hamstrings and shit. So we both look at each other like, this is different. We have to train totally different. And now even this year, we've had to train totally different because I'm healed. So we had to really monitor my strength levels, not just with machines, more so with free weights. How is that working? Because there's more core involved and this and that. And so far, so good. It's just not being afraid, just being cautious.
Where does the discipline come from? Where does you have when I just met with Jake Cutler, he came to the gym, and the fire that guy had inside of him and the focus that he had and still has, but the focus that he had, I was like, oh my God, that's insane. Where does his came from some of his work ethic as a kid?
Yeah, I'd say it came from
I'd
say it's coming from a kid. Both of my, I was raised by my mom and my stepdad, and they both worked. My father worked too, but I didn't see him a whole lot. But they worked. They worked their ass off. So much that sometimes I'd be at home by myself at 9 years old. But growing up where I grew up, it wasn't the most ideal situation because the 80s were rough, man, in certain parts of the United States. Drugs was crazy. Gangs and all this other stuff, they were prevalent. So I always watched them never complain about money. We didn't have the biggest house. They didn't drive the nicest car, but they never complained about it. They never complained. So I think even we got robbed twice as a kid. And I'm talking about right before Christmas, going into your house, you come in, and all your shit is just flipped upside down. Your own piggy bank is broken. Like, they showed no remorse. Like, they were just like, we're just taking all your shit. And as a kid, you're like, man, I don't ever want to feel this again. Someone just took it from me, man. Like, and that started burning me up. Like, so when I started playing sports, I used to always think like, this person I'm playing against thinks he could just walk in my house and steal my shit.
Mm.
This is my stuff. It's my stuff that my parents worked their ass off for. You ain't just gonna take this. You're gonna have to like really kill me to get it. And in high school, I had a coach that was like Bobby Knight, but black. And he forced me to, like, you talk about me being the dream killer now? Shit, that shit happened when I was 15, 16 years old. I could dunk a basketball at 15, but in the game, I would always try to lay it up, and sometimes it get blocked because you're going up soft. Mm-hmm. And refs don't call fouls for people under 6 feet. They just don't. They're just like, shouldn't have done that, son. Should have shot out high off the glass. He sat my ass down, benched me, hit me upside the head. Back when you could touch kids, you know? What the fuck are you doing? Just getting in my ass. And he was like, I should make you run right now. In the middle of everybody.
Crazy.
I should make you run on the side right now. So that next practice, he made me run every time I laid the ball up. It was embarrassing. It was like, but coach, I made the basket. Like, what's the deal? Like, and one of the assistants who played in the league was like, he believes in the fact that you can jump at the gym and you should just be dunking on people, man. And he was like, you have to have this killer instinct. I was like, well, killer, you're 15, 16 years old. What does that mean?
Yeah, what are you talking about?
He's like, you have to think like someone's trying to take something from you, and you're going to take this ball and you're going to shove it down their throat. And that you can do it. So I remember the next game, I just go in there and dunk the shit out of it. And everybody's like, oh, and then you start getting that feedback.
Right.
Oh, like I could do it. I'm over here trying to dunk this basketball, this and that, and then realizing the killing instinct has to apply. Back then, it was like shooting a 3-point bucket in transition was like taboo. You're supposed to lay the ball up, but I just shot it, because he's like, if you can shoot this, you need to shoot it. If you're a shooting guard, you need to shoot, right? Otherwise, you need to sit your ass down. So he really got me fired up. And still to this day, I mean, he's coached 3 or 4 NBA guys out of my high school. And he'll still tell the stories about how if he said, here's the ball, now run through that wall, I would be the first one to say, let's go do it twice. Let's go do it twice. Not just once. Let's go do it again. And going into bodybuilding, I realized that was necessary. I have to say, oh, we're doing 4 sets. I'll just do 5 just because. Or set mental challenges too. Like set challenges that they may not be like with weight, but like maybe with repetition or let's just make it messed up and superset this one. Let's not rest as much and not be on the phone. Let's just go straight through, man, and see who dies. Because that's what I do to people. Like people are like, oh, I want to train with you. I'm like, oh, okay. You from here? No. I don't know, man. But the killer instinct inside, like you have to want to use whatever you got in your life as fuel, but be careful because sometimes that can take you into a dark spot. That when you walk out of the gym, you got to go back and deal with real life, and you can't. There's that imbalance.
It's like Harry Potter, Star Wars shit. Like, careful how dark you get, right?
Right. Because actually, that's really good because it is applicable with this sport. And
there's a lot of power on that side. There's a lot of great things. It's sexy, attractive, but it might fuck everything up.
And it does, because you see majority of guys that compete, bad relationships, both men and women, very inconsistencies, lack of communication, maybe because of the fact that they haven't spent enough time by themselves and actually say, look, like...
I think some people don't know what it's going to turn into. So they plow forward. Now you're somebody to everybody. And all people are ever trying to do is be significant. They're just trying to stand out. They just want to be noticed, recognized. And now you're recognized in a different way. You got people worshiping you. And maybe your old lady, your old standby, maybe she doesn't really like work. Maybe she loves you, but maybe she doesn't worship you.
And that's
Change the
actually,
dynamic.
I think that's actually perfect relationship. Your lady needs to respect you.
Oh, mine just cuts me right in half every day.
Absolutely. I mean, mine too. That's why, I mean, we're going to get married. I mean, because what
great.
I had before, it just wasn't like that. So, you know, now it's, you know, you meet someone that you can match with on a lot of different things, especially up here.
Yeah.
If I can't, even with guys like chatting around, that's why people see me at a lot of shows, because I'm sorry, man, like there's only so much engagement I can have with some of these guys on tour, because what do they talk about?
Reps and sets.
Reps, sets,
Volume.
what girl's hot, who's hooking up with who, you know, what supplements you taking. That's it. There is nothing about like kind of cars you like.
Hey man, what else you into?
Or,
and they're like,
yeah,
I don't know.
learning,
Like they're like,
learning
what do you mean?
something about, like for me, for instance, like I used to see, like I'm a big Branch Warren fan. People are like, Branch Warren. I'm like, yeah, man, I love Branch Warren. You know,
Gets me fired up.
Yeah, he gets me fired up. Like, how the hell do I not like this guy? So I remember seeing him on tour when I worked for Muscle Tech, and he was still there. I was like, all right, this is perfect. I want to see him at like one of these shows. And he might think I'm weird, but I'm just, and here I am, like, you know, on the verge of being Mr. Olympia, right? But I'm like, you know what? I respect him so much for what he's contributed to the sport. I'm a fan. I just want to get to know him. So I told him, I said, we're going to have beers tonight. And he was like, what? And I was like, yeah, man. He's like, I'm not going to drink. I go, bullshit. And ain't no one going to talk to him like that, right? He's kind of a, you know, grunt and cuss type of dude. And I just said, no, man, I want to chat, man. I just want to, you know, I don't really get a chance to, and for me, it was like being a pro, I get access to all the other pros. I get access instant. I get the fan experience times infinity.
Right.
So I just got to chat with him and, you know, learn about his family, learn how he got, you know, how he was brought up, how he was raised, like the adversities that he had. I was just like, I mean, he tells his story, man, it make you emotional, because you're just like, this guy, there's a reason why he trains like that. There's a reason why he has that grit. It's because what he was able to do early on in his life to say, I'm going to be the best I could be at everything I do. And, you know, I'm always like that with a lot of people on tour, because once it's all said and done, gosh, wouldn't you like to have some stories that you could tell your kids and stuff that no one else knows? Like, I mean, I would expect 10 years after I retire that Kai Green and I would have a sit down. I expect it, because it'll be so far removed from our time that it would be casually just accepted to just shoot the shit. And I would embrace the hell out of it, because he was my greatest opponent coming up in the world. So, you know, I just think you have to be a fan of your craft. And in bodybuilding, no one wants to say, hey, man, you look good, dude. You look good, man. You know what's funny? They'll say that to the guy that they know that can't beat them. Oh, man, you look great, man. They ain't going to, what? Because ain't never no one say to me, man, Phil, you look, maybe one time. And it's not like you can't appreciate what someone has presented. Man, I be remembering.
I would be praising you. I'd be like, holy shit, man, there's no way I could beat you.
Well, I tell you who. I remember Johnny Jackson. Johnny Jackson, remember one time he pulled me aside. He was like, man, ain't no one beating this shit. And he told me, he said, you can't be worried about what other people think. Just be you, man. He's like, you're a good dude, man. Just be you. And if they don't understand them, screw them. Like, that's their problem. You didn't hurt their feelings.
If you were to compare yourself to like another athlete, who do you think like gets most represented, like media wise? I got somebody in my head.
Right now, probably LeBron right now. Yeah,
I would say
LeBron right now.
I would say almost like a Barry Bonds a little bit.
Almost.
You know, because like,
during his time,
because he was so focused, he didn't have like I don't know your business. I don't know if you have time for the media and time for the fans. It looks like you do.
Yeah.
But maybe some people think that you don't, and maybe some people think you're just cocky and you're isolated.
I think
yourself.
They get intimidated.
Yeah.
I think promoters, I think athletes, I think fans, I think critics are very standoffish, because number one, they know I'm educated. Number two, they know I'm the best. Number 3, they think I'm full of myself. And number 4, they listen to too many people that are saying things about me that did not come from me.
Opinions,
and because of them having, and I hate to say it, but it's true, for the simple fact that they may have, I'll try to be delicate, to say their own insecurity, they're easily swayed. And to me, where I grew up, I'm sure where you did too, if one of your homies was, if you, and one of your best friends, if one of your best friends could get swayed by an outsider, you wouldn't be friends with him. Or you confront him. You're like, man, why you let him talk shit about me?
Right.
Like, why are you listening to this? You know me.
Right.
So a lot of the time,
that's happened many times.
Absolutely. Trust me, it's happened to me plenty of times. So with this sport, it's like we're so content hungry that if someone has a story about me, they'll, I mean, come on, like, I mean, I can rip into some ass of even critics, like real critics, that, you know, have no business even. It's either you trying to be a shock jock to get followers, which, man, can I get a check?
Yeah.
You know, you use my name to go do this and that and the other, but on all seriousness, you're not going to be understood by many. No one ever was. You think Jordan was understood?
Right.
The guy was playing 36 holes of golf, you know, during the Olympics, 92 Olympics. Like, who the fuck, who was he with? He was with Chuck Daly, the coach, but none of the players. He didn't relate. You think Kobe Bryant was best friends with his teammates? Hell no. Him and Jordan both got in fistfights with some of their players before. Because I was so fixated on this goal. So for me, it's like, man, I can't expect anyone to like my ass. I'm going to still be nice. I'm going to still be respectful. I'll never call you out your name or anything like that. But I do feel like, unfortunately, a lot of people develop this attitude without saying, hey, Phil, you have a minute? Want to grab a cup of coffee?
Right.
You want to grab whatever you're drinking on it's $5. It's a $5 conversation. Because when fans do it, that same person that thought I was a complete bastard will go online and be like, I met with him, I talked to him, he gave me he saw me. He didn't just.
Right.
I have visited with people for 10, even 20 minutes at events and literally tell people, oh, don't worry, I'll do the same for you.
Right.
See? So, you know, I just try to be, and it's not about running for president. You know, it's more like,
to be liked by
I don't have to. Like when I speak after the Olympia and I'm emotional and this, that, you know how many people said, man, that was a nice scripted thing. It's like, you think I wrote that shit? It's more like speaking. Don't we want people to speak from their hearts and their soul and their experience and share it? Yes. But that's a small majority of people that misunderstand me. I think a large majority are maybe they're unclear, but they respect what I do because, I mean, if you're in bodybuilding and you can't respect what Mr. Olympia is doing, then why are you in it? Like, I wouldn't play basketball if I didn't respect the champion. I don't like Golden State, but I respect shit out of them. Yeah. I respect the shit out of them. So, you know, I'm not going to be wearing no hat, but I respect their ability. So it's I
think there's something that you got from basketball, like just kind of at some point looking around and realizing I'm really good. I thought I was the best. They bring in Jamal Crawford, and you start kind of looking around. People are like McDonald's All-Americans.
Oh, yeah.
And they're going here and going there, and maybe you're not getting as many letters and stuff like that, right?
So
I got did you some good?
Oh, absolutely. I got humbled.
Humble pie.
I got humbled real quick. I was 17 years old. I still remember this. Jamal was at my house. I used to drive him to and from school, and we were hanging out at the house.
That's got to be hard because he's in the same school.
Yeah.
He comes to the same school. Now everyone's like, who's this?
Well, I'll tell you a pre-story. So he was supposed to go to Franklin High School where Jason Terry went, Aaron Brooks went, Corey Dillon went, Kenny G went. And he was going to go there and then enrolled into my high school. Well, a rumor was going around that I said I didn't want him around because all he does is shoot. Like he plays no defense and this and that and the other. So I was like, and I kind of did say, I was like I got confronted about it. I was like, well, I do have the best defense in all of Seattle, so let's go. Man, they call him Jay Crossover for a reason. He gave me one of those ankle breakers, and I've never been crossed over by anyone like that. Anyone in my life.
You see that commercial with the ankle breaking? Did you see, like, even when you go back and watch the video that breaks everyone's ankles?
Oh, yeah.
Just watching it. You ever see that?
I mean, he had me like, it was like,
Hilarious.
How did you do that? And he embarrassed me. I mean, I'm talking about shooting threes in your face, grabbing your ass, giving a kiss on the face. This is disrespect. He was trying to like show me, prove to me that no matter how good you think you are, I'm better than you. And I'm going to prove it.
That's got to be hard because you're working so hard.
Right. So I'm thinking, I thought I was. Friday, Saturday nights, I got girlfriends, go to the movies, go hang out at the, like, there's this burger joint called Dick's Burger Joint on Broadway where Samixla used to rap about this and that. So we're like, I'm going to have burgers and fries and chilling out with my buddies and stuff. Jamal's playing late night basketball till 1, 2 in the morning against grown ass men that just got out of prison. Grown ass men. You don't call no fouls, no nothing. He playing against grown ass men putting up like 50 points and stuff. My priorities. So fast forward, we're at my house. Got some letters. This is my stack. Jamal has a mail bin. Literally, I saw it and I'm like, shit. And he was like, help me go through these.
It's like standing next to somebody at the urinal.
Right. You're like, yeah. You're like,
like, oh shit, man.
Yeah.
All
You're
right.
like, fuck, dude. I got like 6, 7 letters, and in high school during homeroom they hand your letters. And he's got a tote. You're like,
truck backs up into the school.
and then you start realizing, like I was realizing at my parents' house, I'm like, he has, like I had maybe half handwritten and half typed with a signature. His were majority handwritten. That's how I knew I wasn't going to go to the NBA, because I was like, this dude is already getting, name a coach that wasn't recruiting this kid. He went to Michigan for 1 year, still went pro, and the rest is history. I just was that, I didn't put the time in with the athletic prowess that I had. He had the talent and put the work in. That's why he's still in the NBA right now. So I do realize that there was a time in my life where I didn't dedicate myself to the craft. The goal was to have balance and have friends, and I'm fine with that. We still won state. I still had a great time,
Right.
Still had great relationships in high school. I mean, but I think I would have been a better ball player if I would have sacrificed more. Kobe Bryant talks about that too a lot, but with Jamal, 3-time 6-man or 3 or 4 times. I don't know how many times he won 6-man now. He's been a journeyman, but scored 50 points for more than 3 or 4 teams. I mean, this is crazy. He's gonna end up with 20,000 points coming off the bench majority of his career. So I'm very proud to say that I played with this guy, and
Right.
and yes, my junior year, going into senior year, headline says, watch out for Heath because he's one of the premier scorers in the state of Washington. He comes in, I'm like, Seattle Times, how do you feel about this? Your numbers are, now they're hitting you. Your numbers went from 17 to 12 to now 8 points a game. And I eventually got him back up.
Right.
But I was like, I'm playing with a pro. So is it about winning or is it about stats? I can produce in other areas. I can get more rebounds.
Did it make it made you work harder?
Yeah.
Right then and there, pretty much.
I just knew that there were certain jobs that needed to be done. Someone had to go get the loose ball. Someone had to go get a steal. Someone had to get a defensive stop. Someone had to be able to knock down an open 3-pointer because they're double teaming him. So you have to change up and realize, okay, he is better, but I'm still good. Doesn't mean I'm not any good. I just got to fit in where I can. And that's where, like in bodybuilding, people get really bent out of shape. And it's like, there's only going to be one winner, man. So you got to figure out how you can get better just with what you have. That's why there's 3 different categories. You figure out where you fit in and you maximize that. And if you can't be honest and then have a plan of action, you're going to be stagnant. And then you're going to be blaming everybody. We hear it all the time, oh, the judge is this. I'm like,
Politics. It's all politics.
Oh
as
man,
people say.
the DMs that I get about politics, I'm like, shit. I didn't know I was running for office. But you have to remind yourself of like you said, Barry Bonds. I mean, Barry did not interview well. I think I did. I do. There's just not as many cameras in my face,
right?
But honestly, I would love it. Like if I had more of this going on, people probably would have changed their perception 10 years ago. It's just that now,
better.
Yeah, because the magazines. I mean, come on. Like back in the day, that's how you knew about the guy. That's how you became excited. Now it's like dwindled. So if you don't have, I always looked at it as kind of egotistical to have like a posse with me filming me everywhere.
Right.
Because I see
I feel that too sometimes.
Yeah,
like,
I mean,
it feels weird.
What people have started realizing, like some of the guys on tour, so I'm at the end of this career, right? Let's just call it what it is. I'm not going to pull a Dexter Jackson and be around for 10 plus years and be almost 50 years old on the Olympia stage. That's just not my goal. So what I want to do now is help those other guys on their journey, because I think it's important, because a lot of athletes I've seen in other sports, they don't groom the next generation because they feel like, oh, well, I don't want to make this person better because they'll be better than me.
Yeah.
So like case in point, at Mangan show in Pittsburgh, I was training at Exercise Warehouse. Really Winkler comes up and says, I want to train with you. I could have been a total prick. And actually, not even a prick. I could have just been like, no thanks. I'm doing my own thing. I said, come on. Hani looks at me and goes, are you serious? I go, yes. And part of me knows this is for him to understand what I'm doing.
Right. How
I'm doing it. He can watch me up close and he can take it back to Oxygen Gym or whatever it is. Mm-hmm. And also just get to know me a little bit. So I took it as he wanted to get to know me a little bit.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, I don't give a shit what he looks at. Like, my DNA is my DNA. Just the way it is, dude. Like, you telling me that the weights are different here than they are at Oxygen? They got more shit than everybody. So their resources surpass everybody, and I beat them. So just look at it from a different angle and not draw a line where you're enemies. Have your enemies sit with you and eat.
Keep them close.
If anything.
Yeah, I learned, in pro wrestling, when you go out and do a match, sometimes people would do a similar style of match because there's only so many different ways you can kind of tell a story in pro wrestling. And so you were supposed to watch the other guys perform, and you were also supposed to not do the exact same thing as them, but it can get repetitive.
Yeah.
But if you did your job really well, no one would even notice because what you did was so much more spectacular, and it looked better, and it caught the crowd's attention a lot better.
Right.
Crowd was louder. Everything about it was better, even though you might have done some of the exact same thing. So
yeah,
that's kind of the case with that. It's like,
absolutely,
you can join me, you can see what I'm doing, but
it's easier said than done. I mean, did I dial it down a little bit? Maybe. But did I do any exercises that wasn't going to give me what I wanted? Absolutely not.
Yeah. And there's not really any secrets, and whatever things you have that are kind of proprietary to your body or things that you don't want to release, it probably wouldn't make any difference if you released them anyway.
It wouldn't work anyway. I mean, we gave out in 2010 or 2011 this article in Flex called 13 Weeks of Glory. And it was a you remember Choose Your Own Adventure books?
Yeah.
So it's like a Choose Your Own Adventure book for bodybuilding. So it's like 13 weeks out. This is the phase that you're supposed to do. You want to up your calories. You want to do this. You want to introduce cardio, blah, blah, blah. You want to have your macros at this, and this, like 50, 30, 20. And then he breaks down the caloric intake, workouts, and notes. If you're feeling tired after a leg day, maybe skip cardio that following day. Give yourself an added, 50 grams of carbs and this and that. Or if this happens, do this.
You and Hani gave it all away.
We gave it all away and no one read it. No, I mean, maybe someone read it, but maybe they're not referring. I mean, that shit still works. That would work for like anyone. And we talked about it. We're like, we should do another article like that. And we're like, it'll go over people's heads already. They're not real fans. What I mean by that is they're real fans, but if someone is like, here's the cheat sheet, dude. Some people are like, I don't need that. I can do it on my own. It's like, nah, man, if Warren Buffett gave you a cheat sheet, would you take it? I would.
Yeah, recently I had someone tell me, they're like, hey, man, you should show up to the show. I was trying to learn some of the same things that they know about apparel. And they were telling me, like, you got to show up to this show. I'm like, I'm there. Like, I'm not gonna come here and try to get advice and then not take any of it. Doesn't make any sense.
That's a waste of time. That's a supreme waste of time, and I think that's where.
And also disrespectful to not take them up on that offer, and
that's true.
It shows them something when you actually. When they say something and you actually follow through and do it.
That's true.
It says something about your character.
Absolutely. I mean, that's something that are the individuals within the industry, whether they compete or not.
Yeah, as you were coming up, if Dorian Yates or whoever you were really looking up to, if they're like, hey, man, meet me here at 3 a.m.
I'd be like, I'm
be
there
too, right?
I'm there. Yeah. I don't give a fuck. Like,
you got to drink a gallon of milk before your workout. You're puking all over the place, right?
You're doing it, whatever you got to do, man. I mean, and I think that just comes from wanting to be associated with people that are better than you at something.
I love that.
I think that in itself tells a lot about a person, especially in this sport.
I don't like getting dirt shoveled on top of my head all the time, but it happens.
Anyone look at my workouts? There was a workout with me and Jay Cutler. I got my ass tore up because I went out 2 nights in a row, out partying in Vegas, and looked like shit, trained like shit. I said, this will never fucking happen again, because I got embarrassed. He embarrassed me. Peter McGuff was there. Everybody was laughing, this and that. I'm like, this isn't cool. Because now that I let that hit here, and it hit my craft, I was like, I disrespected my craft. He didn't do anything. He just lifted weights. I disrespected my craft, and I kind of probably wasted his time, and maybe and luckily, fortunately,
some people take those workouts pretty serious. They got a whole day of like sleep and carbs, and
so maybe I don't go that serious, but maybe I don't go out drinking beers the night before. Yeah. Thinking I'm a rock star and a bodybuilder. So 2 years later, we do another photo shoot. It was never aired. Wonder why?
Right.
It was great footage. It's just the fact that I wasn't no bitch. So that's where the person has to switch and recognize when they were giving it half-ass effort and know how to correct it the next opportunity.
Don't you think it's a sign of intelligence in some ways?
Oh, for sure. I mean, well, yeah, there's intelligence. There's some intelligence involved, but I think it's just emotional intelligence. You have to know when you're not on. That shows in your body language. You talk about baseball, you could tell if a pitcher's about to have a good day or a bad day just because how they walked.
Yeah.
You tell a batter. You can see if you just how we walk. You know, like, man, I don't know. Man, he about to go in and hit something. Because you know you've watched him. So people don't watch themselves.
Look at Eli Manning. When he beat the Patriots, he beat them twice. But when he beat the Patriots the first time, and they were undefeated,
right?
Maybe 3 or 4 years before that, they're like, he doesn't have the right walk, he doesn't have the right this, he doesn't have the right that, he doesn't have. And he started gaining confidence. He started slinging that ball all over the place.
Well, you talk about confidence. Look at how basketball players are nowadays shooting a 3-point shot 30 feet away. I mean, they know. And they practice,
they just
and they're
turn
just
around
like,
and start going the other way.
Right, and they're just like
defense.
Right, they know. They're like, I've practiced this so much, I could do this with my eyes closed. So therefore, I'm not gonna get in the game and not think I can do the same thing I did in practice. Because if I practice how I want to play in the game, everything's gonna be fine. So when you prep for a show, every one of your workouts should be for the competition. Every time you practice posing should be for the competition. Now the problem is that you have to run game simulation, and that's where I think people maybe not classify bodybuilding as a sport, but it's a sport because you do have to do game simulation. They don't even know. Phil Heath, give them free game. Mm-hmm. They don't know when they're going up on stage, right? But they should know how long it takes for them to get tanned, prepped, warmed up to go on stage. They should know how long. So then it's not like, oh shit, I gotta go. Like, you should know, because if anyone has ever ran track, they'll say 30 minutes to 15 minutes, and then they'll say sweats off, and that means you gotta already be warmed up. You gotta pull your sweats off. You gotta get in the start block. You gotta warm up there. So bodybuilding, the same thing. Like you have to do game simulation. You got to figure if you're an amateur and you're in your class, guy or girl, don't matter. If your weight class or your division is at 9 a.m., maybe you prepare your workouts around 9 a.m. Maybe you prepare your the best you're gonna look is at 9 a.m. the entire prep, and see how long you can sustain that for the night show, because it's usually one day show for these people. So and train for that too. So maybe train twice or change. Well, I got to go to work. Okay, train at 6 o'clock, because your body has to be fresh for that. But maybe on weekends, you go at 9, maybe 8. So we compete at 7 or 7:30. We go on stage like at 8:30. I have to know that if I can get a pump, I have to sustain a pump from 9 o'clock to 10:30. So I have to train for that. And that's why I say a free game, because they're really training for something that has nothing to do with the damn show. And they'll think what I'm saying is bullshit, but it's like, look at your result. You don't, like, if you got a 7-hour time change, you should learn how to switch your time up, so then when you come to America, you're on the same time zone. There's altitude in Nevada. Maybe you should come to Denver for a couple weeks. Train at high altitude, see how hard that is. And then you go over there. That's what the Olympic people do over in Colorado Springs.
Yeah.
So I don't think sometimes athletes are treating themselves like real athletes.
Whatever clothes you're going to wear on stage, you got to have all that.
You got to have it all. You have to have it. You already have to. I mean, you got to know obviously your music and this and that. You know, a lot of people choreograph their posing routines for a reason. I totally understand. I have never choreographed one posing routine in my entire life. Yes, there's some times I've done some of the same shit as being redundant, but at the end of the day, it's for different music and it's a different show.
You've been in front of crowds and stuff before too, so it doesn't bother you, right?
No, and because of the internet world, I mean, people are going to be able to see every time you do something. So it's like a comedian. The comedian's going to tell the same joke if you see him 100 times on YouTube. Like, it's just the way it is. But, you know, you have to practice. So practicing in front of a mirror doing selfies and shit or doing progress pics, that's cool. But then how do you pose when there's no mirror? Start seeing people get real fidgety on stage, moving around and this and that. Yeah. Now you get a motherfucker like me stepping real close to you. And you start feeling this energy. And you don't want no smoke. You don't want no problem. But now it's like, he's here. And that's when I come and get you. Because I know that you thought that I wasn't working hard. You thought I was relying on the 7 wins or the always the gift, you know, this and that. You may actually think that it's political and this and that. But then you got to stand next to me.
Do you feel you've gotten better every single year?
I think after 2013, I started noticing a difference, and that was from the hernia. 2013 really, looking back now, I mean, I should have gotten that checked out then. I just thought I just couldn't breathe. And being in Colorado, you're like, even being here, I've, you know, for over 10 years, I'll be here 20 years come August. Sometimes you just think, well, maybe it's because I gained 10 pounds this offseason. You know what I'm saying? You don't know.
Yeah.
And I mean, you can ask Dylan Arbus. I remember posing, I was just like, I can't keep it. But later on, freaking hernia right here. No wonder, dude. Like, it's just the way it is. So I would say, in some aspects, I regress because I didn't take what happened in 2013 and smash that. I didn't. But I still attained graininess, hardness, and some other muscle like in the shoulders and in the back and hamstrings than I did in those previous years. Because you can see the picture, you can see the video, and I have every progress picture since October 8th, 2002. I've been taking pictures since then. So I have proof that I've improved. It's just that I noticed over the past 2 years, although I was bigger, because everybody knows I get measured for suits and stuff, you know, just like anybody else. The measurements were bigger, but my weight was less. But obviously, with what we talked about when we first walked in, double hernia, intestinal strangulation, this and that, with the numbers being the way they were, the hematocrit, the hemoglobin, the RBC, like, you know, all that shit, the iron being low, all these other things being low, there's no volume. There's nothing pushing. I can only push so much. So I was from 2013 to last year, I weighed 7 pounds less.
Oh, okay.
But still was bigger. So now the blood volume has recycled. Everything is better. Now I think, well, what am I going to weigh at this year? It's like, well, maybe 248, maybe 250. But it'll be a different look because I'll be volumized. So, just understanding that process, and thank God that I knew the responsibility and necessity of getting blood work done throughout the year, physicals. So then if something does happen, I can figure out where it started. So I would say, in a nutshell, I wasn't bad, but I wasn't superior over 2013. I believe last year, I was hard. It was very hard. But I do recognize this year as like a joke in my mind. It's a joke. I get a chance to finish my career the healthiest I've ever been. I've had this hernia since I was 3 years old, and it's got progressively worse. So, I mean, it's not about like, oh, I'm going to kick the shit out of her. It's more like, I have an opportunity to be my best at the end. Who has that opportunity?
Right.
Very few people. People are just holding on for dear life. Torn tricep, torn bicep, torn quad, torn lat. I'm fine. So that's the beauty of this journey right now, is that, and I think that's why people have seen me a lot more pleasant. I'm still, like I tell people, like, don't get it twisted. I'll still turn it on. It's just that I know who I am, know what I've been through, and I know what I can do.
It's easier to be nice when you've won.
I mean, look, like, everybody knows that the only people I talk shit to is like a critic or something like that. You think I'm going to talk shit to an athlete that I just beat? Like, that doesn't make any sense. Like, that's actually rude.
Right.
Unless that person said, I beat you, man. It's like, I don't know what game you watching, but
yeah.
So, I think one of the things that I enjoy the most is the competition. Knowing that every person is coming after what I have. And I'm going back to when I was 4 years old, when the punk asses robbed us, took all our shit. And then again, like a year and a half later, same thing. I'm like, you're not taking what I earned. See, I was only a child when that happened. Couldn't imagine someone robbing me. You know what I'm saying? Like, someone going to your house and robbing you after you worked your ass off, the lifelong work from adolescence to adulthood to earn things, and someone take it. So it's no different with the Olympia. As an adolescent to early adulthood, I've been groomed to be Mr. Olympia. Before, it's just all by design.
Did your dad get to see some of your success before?
Yes, he sure did. He came to the Olympia, I believe, when I got second. Then I won. And he was there for like three. No. For 3 Olympias, he was there. And then maybe more. But he was there on the climb at the Olympia, and then in, I guess it was 13, he was sick, and then 14 he passed. So then 13,
what did he pass away from?
It was called amyloidosis. Really nasty disease. It's not hereditary. It's like 1 in a billion for me to get it or my brother to get it, but essentially it's like where your good and bad proteins are off, and the bad ones are creating a lot of problems in your internal organs. So it attacked his heart, his lungs, his kidneys, his liver. I mean, he had renal failure in both liver and kidney. It just was, but he knew. He knew. He knew when he was diagnosed in like that April that it was it. And he was told he had a month, and then he made it to like a year. So, I was happy for that, because I still have, when 6 weeks out came, I got the call saying, you got to get your ass here now. My stepmom called me. I was like, you got to get here now. It don't look so good. I grabbed it, doc, and he's like, we're trying to make him comfortable, and people have heard this, watch people pass away, like, oh, we're gonna try to make him feel comfortable and this and that and the other. And I just said, you don't know who my fucking dad is. He's a Heath, man. He ain't gonna listen to you, so that's why I'm here. And he was like, I understand this and that, but he's looking at a week to 2 weeks. And I'm like, I don't fucking believe you. So I go back in. I was like, thank you for your time, this and that, but I don't believe what you're saying and shit. I was like, you guys practice medicine, and I agree. I appreciate this and that and the other. His brother was a doctor, so I'm like, I get it. You guys have a gift, this and that. But you ain't God, man. So I go back in the room, he starts talking to me, and he want to talk to anybody else. So the nurse was like, wow, he hasn't talked in like a long time. And you walk in and his eyes light up. I'm like, because I'm his first son. So he sent me a video. I still have it of after I won in 2013.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. I mean, his hair, he was, gosh, man, he was a good looking man. Like he was like if I post pictures of him when he was my age or younger, people think he was like a movie star. Like this guy was like dressed nice. Oh, like I ain't got no hair, but he had hair, this and that. So all his hair was like coming out by then. But he just gave me a nice message. And he was always the sweetest, like most pleasant. He was a gentleman. He was a Texan, but very good gentleman. And I still have it. And I watch it every now and again, not when I'm down or anything like that. It's more like, hey, what's up, Pop? Right. Wow, this is really cool that he actually came in. And I do have one photo of he and I. This was an epic photo, actually. So I was raised by my stepdad and my mom, but I got the entire family at the Olympia and got them backstage, and we all took a picture together.
Oh, that's cool.
I think it was like after the first or second year.
What did he say in the video?
I knew you could do it. I knew that you were going to take the belt to him. Like, whooping some ass, Yeah. He's using all the, down home references, It's just cool. Like, and he's just like, I knew you were going to do it. He's like, congratulations. You did it. This ain't the end. And that's where you're like, and then his wife, my stepmom, who also passed, was there waving. And my younger brother, who's a younger big brother, he's 21, 6'6", 260. Oh, shit. So he ain't small, right? He was there too. So it was like really cool to see. I think that's the only video I really have of him and his wife before they both passed. So those are things that like will always stick. And those are things that I remind even fans to, when you take those pictures and stuff with your folks, like sometimes like print them out.
Yeah.
I've printed some of mine out because I'm like, dude, like you can lose your phone and all your shit's gone. Like I've seen it. I've had it happen. I lost a BlackBerry one time. Probably a good thing, right? But from a text standpoint, but I lost a voicemail from him. A voice note. When he got sick, I used to record a lot of the conversations. I was like, I gotta record this shit because I don't. And when I lost the phone and I was devastated. Yeah. So I was scrambling for pictures and this and that and the other. But so I just,
being an IT guy, you couldn't figure out how to.
Not that phone. Not that phone. Well, I lost it. The phone was gone. Yeah. So it wasn't an iPhone where it was up on the cloud.
All this shit, yeah.
It wasn't a cloud-based system. So Crackberry won, and that was just the way it went. But you try to think about a lot of good things that have come out, when you're dealing with your parents. As you get older, your parents get older, people pass, they pass on. And you try to remind yourself that you're still here. So you still got a lot of work to do. There's still work to be done. And no one wants you to really hang your head low, and that was something that I knew my dad and my stepmom did not want me doing. So I don't do that. And if I do, it's very short-lived. Now it's more like I got their pictures. Hey, what's up, guys? Hope you guys doing well, this and that. And that's just how I live. But I think that comes with age. I think when I was 25, I would have handled things a lot different. I would have been very belligerent with my speech, with my actions. I mean, you know, I would have. It's hard being a champion at an early age, you know, and have adversity plus hardship, and still have the expectations of succeeding. So that the things that I would, you know, it's like they say, the things that you laughed about when you're a kid, you don't laugh about no more. Yeah. You know, things that you tolerated back then, you don't tolerate no more. You got wisdom behind you. You went through life, so your perspective shifts, you know, for the better usually. And I'm just very blessed that I am learning these lessons. Some of them are very hard. Some of them are very difficult to learn, but it's necessary for advancement somewhere else. And I think that's where it's like they say, you know, lead by faith, not by sight. So it's hard. It's easy to say that stuff. We are, you know, you see the affirmations on social media all the time, scriptures, religious stuff, this and that, the quotes. These people don't live that shit. They don't live it. Like, really, they live it? Mm-hmm. Really? Like, I'm tired of, like, I tell you, man, like, I got inspired by your stuff today.
Cool.
But you were living it.
Right.
Majority of the people that I see are faking it. They're not living it. Be your best. You have your most potential. Da-da-da-da. Grunting and cussing while they're talking about this stuff. What have they really done? When do they become successful? How do they become successful? By just so much that, like, people just have to listen? 'Cause that's old school propaganda bullshit back in the 40s and 50s, right?
Right.
That's how news came. Just being the loudest person. But how is that applicable to a task? How is that applicable to a task that no one thought you could do? It's not. And that's why bodybuilding is really awesome, because people are going to tell you, man, you ain't going to win, this and that. And it's like a Chinese proverb that's talking about, like, don't be interrupting the person that's actually doing the shit. It's kind of disrespectful.
Right.
So you have to live that life and say, you know what, like, you just don't know me, man, and that's okay. But I can't expend any more energy trying to explain myself to you. I have a job to do. I love my job. I'm going places. You may not see it right now because I've had some, you know, this and that and the other. It's kind of like, you know, when I started the supplement company, Gifted Nutrition, you know, it's like, oh, yeah, I was the athlete, president, blah, blah, blah. And then, you know, people were like, why'd you leave? And then people online were talking shit and this and that. Even social media influencers were like, oh, you don't leave a company, this and that and the other. But all the time, that person was getting hit with fraud cases and actually got a judgment against them. So why the fuck would I be a part of that? I didn't do that.
Right.
You tarnished my name. So you have to learn your environment. It's like, yep, I could try to salvage this. You know, I really could. You know, it's my nickname. It's my name, really. But I could always do this again. You know, I could always start over because of who I am.
Right.
And I still won. I still always focused on the craft. So it's like the people that watch this, it's like, I've gone through the same shit y'all have gone through. I've gone through a job getting taken away, or this or that get taken away, hardship, this and that, but I still focused on my goal. And I managed that stuff. I didn't put in the compartments as much as people think. I just dealt with it, got rid of it, because you don't need that on your chest. Everybody feels like if something is heavy on their chest, it's because they didn't deal with it. And it becomes heavier and heavier because you lose stamina. You got to get rid of that shit. You got to get rid of it. And that's what I learned is that, you know, any hardships I ever had, it had nothing to do with really me. It's usually other people. And it's not that I'm a narcissist. It's thinking that I'm never wrong. It's just that the hardships that I had, it didn't have anything to do with what I did to deserve anything. It's just, sometimes that's just life. And you can't be like, woe is me with the flutes and the, you know, violin. Like, I don't want that story. Because I know that I'm not going to get the sympathy anyway. Because no one gave a shit. Everybody, what they do when that company didn't do well. Oh, Phil, he's not a good ambassador. He's not this and that. Well, all the time, but no one investigated.
Right.
But no one thought, well, why would he do that? Why would he leave his own shit? something fucked up with the money. That's what happened. So if anyone goes through the court documents like they would do, like a TMZ would go do, they would realize this is what happened, and I would be absolved. But then I had to learn, these fans, they like you, but they don't care to like you that much.
Yeah, right.
They're only gonna go so far because they don't want to see you succeed. Could you imagine?
Also, some of them probably just genuinely want to. They love what you're doing, and they just want to. And like, fuck, like I got all the gifted stuff, and then you left.
Yeah.
So
and actually, that's another, and absolutely, because you think that they were all saying the same thing I was saying in a press release? No.
Right.
Oh, he did this and that and the other. It's like, that doesn't even make sense. Because at the end of the day, why would Mr. Heath fucking leave his own shit? He'd leave it because you did something wrong. So learning that was like Les Brown, the famous.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, Les Brown. God, it's just so amazing. What does he say? Like, I'm not having a terrible day, I'm having a character building day.
Right.
That was character building. It was like, how do you do a press release stating that a company failed? Failed you as an individual. They failed me by not doing what they said they were going to do. It says pretty much in fine print, like, don't commit fraud. Save your premier shareholder if you decide to do anything wrong. They didn't do it. So, I had to go through the backlash. I had to go through Generation Iron. I had to go through that, being misunderstood in the film. There's like probably at least another hour's worth of content that I provided that no one ever will see because I'm too busy joking around and showing you the real me. They didn't want that. They wanted something else. So I had to deal with that. You had to deal with divorce, death, supplement companies, this and that. The craft is number one. And I never lost track of that. And I still don't to this day.
Do you want to have your own family?
That is a very important job. That's probably the most important, other than winning 10, is to make sure that I have a child with Cherie. We're married, had a child, and maybe that child is on the Olympia stage with me when I retire. Or maybe in the audience with me the year after I leave. I don't know. But I do want that. I do believe that that her and I will have one child. I was an only child, so I'm like, I probably just one.
The chosen one.
Yeah. And that kid's going to have, if it's a boy, he's going to set the world on fire. If it's a girl, it's going to be 10 times crazier in a good way. Because she's going to have such a amazing spirit. So I want to see a version of myself in the child.
I think through lifting, there's certain things that you can't get to via any other way other than like physical exercise puts your mind in a certain frame of mind.
Yes.
That sometimes like there's not a drug, there's not.
Well,
you can't find it, right?
Right.
The same thing happens with having children. It's
right.
really amazing. Like when you have kids and you share something funny with them, and they're laughing, you're laughing, and then you forget even why you're laughing. You just keep hearing their laugh going over and over again, and you're just, it feels like you're on drugs. It's crazy. That wild experience is really cool.
That's funny you say that because I have two best friends, one from growing up and one from college. And they had girls within like a week apart, which was weird. But anyway, I'm a godfather to one of them. So I go see her, and she's my screensaver when he calls. Like I don't care about you. I want to see your baby. And it's like holding her and just like watching her. Now I watch her walk and this and that, and she's one. And I'm like, and I look at my friend and I go, you realize how rich you are? You're wealthy as hell. You have it all. And you get to put all that energy, all that knowledge that you have into this being. That's so powerful to me. So I think
having kids is almost like having a passion too. People don't understand you at a certain point. They're like, you can't hang out. You can't come over here. Like, you can't come to New York.
Right.
Like my whole family's from New York. I can't go there anymore because it's like, it's a huge thing. I've got to bring, my kids are older now, so it's not as hard, but It's the same thing as having a singular focus, having one thing that you're focused on. Nothing can distract from that. I can't let anybody penetrate my circle. I got my circle, my financial stability, my name, everything is on the line, and no one else is allowed in. Like the circle's got to be small, right?
Absolutely. I think when you get lazy with that, when you get a little lax with that, that's when you get screwed over. And then also
you let that door crack open.
Someone's going to come in, and because normally people that are successful want to steal from you. I mean, you know, people are jealous and envious, so they copy you. But it's the easiest come up you can do. It's like, oh well, let's this is cool.
Yeah,
let me go make the same shit and slap a label on it and see what happens.
That's like, what little kids do when you're a kid and you make fun of somebody and they say, no, you. They say like this, they just flip the same joke.
Right. So
it's not very original.
No. So yeah, you bring a good point with the family stuff. I mean, you just have to set boundaries, and that's easier said than done when you're, I guess, in the public eye and you're expected to act a certain way, talk a certain way, all the freaking time. And I think the best friends I have are the ones that just. They know what I do, which is great, but they make it a point of emphasis to have intimate time with me, just sitting around laughing about other things. They make it a point, and I do the same thing in their world, because my craft is my craft. I mean, it's cool, you know, but I'm not going to sit here for an hour on end talking about it. I want to ask them what's going on in their life and kind of dissecting like paths that maybe are parallel between my friends, of like, how do you deal with a job? You know, you got promotion, but you deserve a bigger promotion. Like, how do you deal with that? It would be no different than like, oh, I got second place 6 times and I'm waiting for the promotion. You know, like, how do you switch your mind up to continue to want to go back to work? Because a lot of people, you know, like get, you know, second place or third place a bunch of times, they start getting very discouraged.
That's what I said to Jay. I think that's the most redeeming thing about him.
Right.
Like, the poor Olympia is amazing.
Yeah.
6 times second is
It's
like
tough.
should be the name of a book for him.
It's very tough.
How do you keep coming back? It's amazing.
Very tough is because you really want it. I mean, and I think that's why there's only 13 Mr. Olympias, is because they want it more than anybody. And when you get that taste of something, it's like when you lifted your first weight and you did a show, you're hooked, whether it be powerlifting, strongman, or especially in bodybuilding. The minute you do a bodybuilding show, you're kind of like, man, I got to do this again. Even though it almost killed me, I'm going to do it again. And because it's you versus you, and you kind of realize how much power you
That's
have.
what Hani set me up for. He set me up to do a show.
Really?
Yeah. Just on my podcast. He
Cool.
just called me out. He's like, you're doing one August 25th. It's here in Sacramento. And he's like,
That works.
I'm like, shit, all right. Well, fuck.
That'll work. I mean, new challenges, right?
I'm like texting him every day. I'm like, can I eat this? What about this? What about that?
That's honestly, that's really good. You know, good for you, because it's something different, right?
Yeah.
And you have the dedication, obviously. So it's just more about how to apply it in something that you're not very well versed at.
Yeah.
But here's the secret: is that you've already done it in another profession. So
Right.
it's really just the application.
Right.
And I think that's where a lot of people, they don't understand implementation is like the key to business and everything else. Like, you have the tools, but you don't know how to make shit. It's like, nah, dude, it's just how to implement these tools together and bring out a positive result. So if you know you, like, I keep reverting back, you gotta know who you are, man. You gotta know, like, sometimes July 4th is coming up, so you can't necessarily go out to the cookout for 2 hours.
Yeah.
Longer than you should.
Well, the whole month of July, I'm in Malibu. And I'm like on the beach. I'll be on the beach with my family, but I'm not going to be able to enjoy some of those foods. But, you know, it's a, if you want to call it a sacrifice, right? It's sacrificing one thing in the place of another.
Yep.
But will the cheesecake and the brownies and the cookies and ice creams and pizzas and all those things still be around after I do the show? They'll still be floating around.
It's like my coach used to say in college. He's like, if anyone gets injured going up to the mountains skiing or snowboarding, your scholarship is revoked, right? We're like, oh man. And he goes, guess what? When you graduate, you can go up there because they ain't leaving.
Right.
So it's just like the same thing with eating. It's like, dude, in 12, 16 weeks, like you can indulge as much as you want. And actually, if you do your damn job, maybe you get a cheat meal, not a cheat day, but a cheat meal that you can have a piece of that. But you have to switch your mind up to where, like, Honey has to beg me to eat like bad stuff like that.
Right.
He has to beg me. Like, he has to like literally tell Sheree to be like, make sure he eats this sushi and these burgers and stuff because it's good for him. Because his body's coming in too fast or whatever, right? And I'll be like, nah, why don't I just up my carbs? You know, put some olive oil on my rice or something, you know, get the calories that way. It's like, no, it's not the same. And I'm like, but I don't want to be up on stage feeling like I didn't do my best and outworking everybody else, even in the kitchen. So I just know how to pay attention to different detail, but knowing the balance. I mean, hell, I've dieted, you know, so long. I haven't had a summer since 2007, so I know how to do it. I know how to eat. I remember being at a wedding, and it was actually Jamal's wedding. I'm at a wedding, and it was a long, long day, and it was mealtime. So we got to the reception, and the dinner service took it seemed like 4 hours, but it was like an hour and a half, and that's a long time, you know, for dinner. But I guess they had cocktail hour and this and that. Right. I'm not drinking, so here I am taking pictures with the owner of the Clippers, you know, Ballmer and this and that. Like, hey, what's going on? I'm like, and one of my old coaches says, he was there. He goes, Philip, and everyone in Seattle calls me Phil. No one calls me Phil. The only person in Seattle that ever called me Phil was my father. That's it. So he goes, Philip, what'd you eat? I go, huh? He goes, you have a lot more energy than you did an hour ago. Where'd you go? Because we're starving. I go, oh, I went to the parking garage because I'm dieting right now, and I left a meal in there because I assumed that this shit was going to run over. So, I mean, you just plan. You plan for the worst case scenario. You have every resource available at arm's length so then you can be your best. So it just takes planning. It takes forecasting, just like business. You got to forecast things that everybody forecasts for the sky to be blue and sunny. You got to forecast shit, fucking hail, storm, and tornado. Right. You got to prepare for that too. So then when it happens, you're like, I already know my fire drill. I already know my earthquake drill. I already know. So I think in bodybuilding, I go through so much simulation and game theory of like, I can think of call outs against each guy, different person, come here, there. So then when I'm on stage and they do it, what do I always do when someone gets switched? If I get switched from middle to end or this and that, and the crowd's like, oh, Phil's gonna lose. It's like, nah, dude, I already had this in my mind of how this is gonna work. I'm gonna get judged here, this person's gonna get here, they're gonna switch here. This judge over here probably wants to see me on that side to allow them to adjudicate the guys in the middle. And then I get switched back. And then I always smile, right? So it's like, but if I didn't have emotional intelligence, I'd be like, I gotta put on the middle, man, this and that. They'd probably look at me like, yeah, you did. You know? You didn't exude that confidence and that, you know. So you have to have game repetition in your head. You know, you have to do these simulations. And that takes a lot of emotional intelligence too, because your emotions will get to you at some point in time during the prep. Even for you, you're gonna have a moment where it's like, the fuck am I doing? And you'll remember, like, we were talking, and it's just like, dude, like, you've already done this in so many other areas of your life. I don't even know you that well. So, I mean, but I know what you've done. Yeah. You're going to be fine. You just have to apply it. You have to do it quick. It's like...
so the moments of self-doubt don't last that long either. I think people don't really realize that. Like, they creep into your system here and there.
Right.
And even the cravings. When you have, like, a really hard craving towards food, it doesn't really last that long. You eat a meal, and you're fine.
Here.
Yeah.
It's here. They put the shit in them treats and stuff that something happens, right? But
it's only there for like 20 minutes, 10 minutes. You know, it's not bad. It'll pass. You get past it.
You have to you just have to remember, like, what is your goal? If your goal is to be the best, best version of you, is that cheat meal gonna help you? Well, no, but like it really like. But here's the funny part: you do the cheat meal, turns into a cheat day. You forgot to still get the amount of macros to supply the glycogen stores with those junk meals and stuff
that's
like
me
that.
too. I'll go haywire.
Right, and then how do they train that next day? Like shit, because they're maybe too sluggish, or maybe they
toilet too much.
Right, so. You still have a job to do. Like if I do a cheat meal, that means that I have to train a body part that needs to be trained very, very intense, because I have added fuel.
Right.
But they just do it for comfort up here. They do it for comfort. They're not doing it for action. So there's a time and place for all that stuff. Otherwise, we would all drive cars with nitrous and just hit it all the time and think that it's always going to work. It doesn't, dude. Like shit breaks. Things don't perform the same way. It's just not supposed to. So
seemed like bodybuilding's really strengthened your mind.
Oh,
digging deep on those reps and sets.
Absolutely.
I mean, even seeing you talking to yourself in between, like
you have to.
It's like this motherfucker's a madman. What's wrong with this guy?
You have to. You can't be afraid of someone thinking that. You know what I mean? Like, it's like watching guys in your arena. You know, like they got to say whatever the hell they got to say to get themselves underneath that bar to go squat or to do that bench press or deadlift. They got to do whatever it takes. So the average person, absolutely, casual observer, absolutely will look at you and be like, oh man, this guy's fucking nuts, this and that. But you know what's funny? They say he's nuts, but then they keep watching and they like it. Because somewhere they see something that they wish they had. Or maybe they can relate.
Right.
Maybe they can relate in another arena. But I look at it as like, why do people watch Rocky movies? Because it's just so inspiring.
Yeah.
It's like even the new ones, like you're just like, the guy gets knocked down, he sees the picture of his father, he kills back up, whoops the guy's ass, doesn't win, but still you're like, and when we're talking about Creed, when the dude was like, told he should throw in the towel, and he said, I can't. He's like, why you want this so bad? Because I want to make sure like that I wasn't a mistake, that I matter.
Yeah.
And that part hit me because I'm like, that's why I do what I do. Because I want to matter in this world. I have an opportunity to matter. Like,
and that's your way of doing it.
That's my way of doing it. Like I can, and I've had blessings to where, obviously I got the genetics and stuff, and the work ethic came, and the results have happened. But the people have responded through email, through handshakes, through pictures, through text messages. Like I've made some friends out of fans over the years, and it was through having that work ethic, having that grit, having that mindset, and opening myself up to share it with people. So it's important that you have that ability, because who wouldn't want to be a teacher? You should want to be a teacher. If you're good at something, you should want to help other people. You should want to teach people. But yeah, I really enjoy this portion of my career because I had a lot of adversity and I still won. And now, like, for instance, when I go to Olympia, I tell my whole team prior to, like, a month out, and even the week of, even the day before, the day of, don't be over here talking negative shit. Nothing really matters, because otherwise, why are you here? I mean, I can understand, someone died or something like that, but everything else, I mean, you ain't leaving. You're Team Heath. You already paid for your ticket. You already paid for this, the hotel, this and that, tickets. You're here, man. Be invested. Be here. But also, if you, like, because Hane's a very pessimistic person, so he always thinks the worst case scenario. So he'll take any person like, well, I think Phil should win, but then if someone says I don't, he's like, man, you got to do this. We got to fix this. And I'm like, no, we don't. You and I are just going to fix this another way. We're going to fix our attitude and this and that, and you're going to drop this game plan where I want to execute it. Give me my kill orders. I go kill them. Give me the order. But do it with a different energy. You don't have to do it very reactionary. Just say, oh, that's what they said? Okay. Here's a protocol. Here, do that. And then you're like Phil Jackson, not Michael Jordan. You know, like you already know because you know who you are. You don't get rattled by these people. And I tell everybody on my team that I'm like, you can't get rattled by nothing because you're only as strong as your weakest link. So if you have a trainer or girlfriend, wife, you know, boyfriend, whatever, best friend, not holding their weight, you're going to have a really tough time. Maybe not the first time, maybe not the second time, but eventually it's going to wear on you. So you have to be really observant as to who's performing for you for this event and who isn't. And then say, you're on the bench, dude, because I need someone else to do this job. Doesn't mean I don't love you. Doesn't mean I don't care about your feelings. Just means that I'm trying to go here and I'm just not kind of man. But you can still go here, you can still hang out with me anytime you want. But I don't need you in the thick of it.
You're off the team.
You're on the bench. You're maybe go down to minor league or whatever, however you want to put it. But you have to be a manager of your environment. And I think when athletes are able to do that, some people like they talk shit about LeBron because he creates his own narrative. It's like, well, wouldn't you want to if you could control it? If you could do what you want, like, why wouldn't you do it? It's your life. Don't you want to do what you want to do? I do. So, you know, you have to know that there's risk and, you know, there's reward, but you got to know that you're only as strong as your weakest link. You got to make sure that you nurture those people that, you know, or, you know, like, I would never want a person in my room during a weekend Olympia that thinks like, oh my God, I went online and I saw this guy.
He's
like,
huge.
Like, I'd probably kick him out.
Yeah.
Like, get the fuck out of here, man. Go dick ride him in the lobby. You know, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't need to hear that shit. Even if it's true, I don't need.
Is there anybody young who's real hungry that looks like they're going to be coming up in the next couple of years? Like, not even really necessarily to challenge you, but some, you know, kid who's 20, 25.
No. And I'll tell you straight up, I think the person that could, or the persons that could, haven't yet competed yet, and they're probably picking the wrong division. They're probably picking men's physique or classic right away because they feel like they're not big enough to do open. Now, there's no knock on what they do because I think what those guys do is impressive. It's just the fact that bodybuilding takes minimum of like 5 to 10 strong years of training. So you see a lot more people going into those other categories fresh out and staying there because it's comfortable. It's comfortable, but yet everybody wants to pose like the open guy. So the guy that should be challenging me is probably not sure of himself and is doing the wrong division. Now that doesn't, you know, people will think about that and be like, oh, what do you mean? It's like, well, are you really trying to go to open or you just want to stay there? And that's fine. Like, there's no problem with that. Like, hey, to each his own. It is what it is. I'm going to get mine, so whatever. But don't be afraid. Like, I talked to a kid last night. He was like, yeah, I'm 18. I said, oh, you're 18, huh? He goes, yeah. I said, you thought about doing a show? He goes, yeah. Wasn't sure the categories, though, because I know I got to get bigger and this and that and the other. I go, why not just get better? I said, yeah, you can do men's physique first show, you know, just, you know, because maybe your legs aren't up yet. You know, that makes sense. That actually makes sense. But if you have balanced body and you're just smaller, there are weight categories in open class bodybuilding. So I think that person, like I said, is just, they don't want to take the beatings in the gym or the beatings by the guys in the open league, you know, or the 212 league.
Do you think the look of the Mr. Olympia champion will change in the next couple of years? Like maybe after your reign,
when I'm done, yeah.
Maybe the guys will be 215, 220. Maybe it'll look different.
I don't know about that because you still have Ramy.
But with someone like The Rock coming in, being able to, you know, hopefully with him and his team and some of the other people involved, you know, hopefully there's a lot of eyeballs on it. I'm just thinking like it might shift to be a tiny bit more mainstream.
I mean, the people that are more comfortable seeing the aesthetics is going to be like the classic division for sure.
So that may just be more popular.
It might be because it's more attainable. And some people that compete in it, and I'm not talking, and I guess let me rephrase that. The people that compete at an amateur level is very attainable. Very, very. Because it's height and weight, so it's not that hard. you know, but because you only have so much room to go.
Right.
So you get some really, fuck man, you get some incredible physiques, you know, with these classic guys. I mean, I got to stand next to him backstage at the Mr. Pittsburgh, you know, IBB Pro Pittsburgh, and I'm like, these guys are, these guys look great. But then I look at half of them, I'm like, you know, that you're basically 5 pounds away from doing open class, and like, what? Why?
Right.
Now, I can understand if you're 6'2", you know, but if you're like 6 foot and under, like, all right, whatever. But I just think, yes, it could take a different look, but it would take one of those guys that says, you know what, it's bodybuilding, right? Yes. Like if I were them, I'd say, man, this is bodybuilding, right? And like, yeah. I'd be like, all right, so I'm gonna do classic, do well at the Olympia, and then the next year I'm gonna ask to be in the open, and I'm gonna do that, and I'm gonna look the same, and I'm just gonna expose people. I'm gonna expose the lack of conditioning, the lack of separation, the lack of fullness, the lack. I'm gonna, and that's how they would take over the whole fucking thing.
Mm.
If someone had the balls to actually like do that. But I don't know if that person exists right now. But as far as like mainstream, bodybuilding isn't supposed to be mainstream. It just requires a lot of TV networks and Netflix and all this other stuff. I mean, a lot of outside resources have to come into play, because keep in mind this: if you make something that's somewhat attainable for the average person to compete in, give it time and it'll just be average. It'll just be average. You'll be old flavor.
Right.
You know, because you can only go so far as being big. So like in classic, I know that they want to increase like the weight because they realize like they want to be bigger. Just do open, right? You can be as big as you want for the height that you have. So I think
CrossFit's done a pretty good job of some of that. 'Cause
I think so.
You know,
yeah.
It's like they do have a lot of general pop, a lot of general interest in it. But then they also have the CrossFit Open, which is an online thing that you can compete in. There's like 250,000 people competing.
Right.
And then they whittle it down to champions.
Yeah. And
pretty cool.
I've had a fortunate opportunity to work with I work with a company called Compacts. They make muscle stimulators and stuff like that. And they work in CrossFit. And you know, I like what they do, because what they made sure they did was go out and get a large sponsor. They got Reebok. So it's like Reebok was willing to spend tons of money. And what was the guy? Rich Franklin, that guy. He was the guy that won. So
Rich Froning, yeah.
Rich Froning, yeah, sorry. Yeah, thank you. I think Rich Franklin is a UFC fighter. I think it's smart, like if the athletes got together, I mean, like if someone said, hey Phil, I'm gonna talk some shit and this and that, if you wanna do it too, just shoot me a text message and give me a heads up. You know, doesn't mean I may take it inward and want to kick your ass on stage, but that's okay. You know, because I should want to do that anyway. But I don't think the savior is just saying, okay, well we have to have $7 Productions do this. It's like, yes, they do an incredible job. I appreciate it. The Rock has a huge influence, and I love the guy. The guy is fucking awesome. However, when he's out doing his other projects that are much, much bigger than this, what are we doing? See? Because he's going to do his multi-million-dollar movies and you know, all that stuff. We don't have that type of push, you know what I'm saying? Because we're not, you know, we're just not right now. But the people within it, if there was more collaboration, maybe different athletes training with each other through different prep and stuff like that, that would get coverage like big time.
Yeah.
If there was more philanthropy within the athletes, like I do a charity every year at the Arnold Classic for autism awareness, and it's 6 years running. I'm pretty much demanding every athlete to show up that isn't competing, because what else are you doing? Checking out chicks, talking shit? You should be here doing something different. You should be here doing stuff in your neighborhoods and stuff like that. You don't, and guess what? You don't even have to publicize it. Like I do stuff at the Children's Hospital. I don't publicize it because number one, that's very invasive. Like you don't need to be in their business like that. And number two, isn't that expected? It's expected from an athlete. So you want to talk about getting mainstream attention? Start doing stuff in your own communities. Start communicating with local news and radio and asking them, why am I not being interviewed, but you're interviewing this high school kid that just won state in track and field? You can start somewhere. Because every time you walk down the street, someone's doing this.
Yeah.
See that? But if you're smart, you start getting with these people. You maybe go on Twitter and you start following local news people in your area. You start commenting on our stuff. And you start hitting them up and be like, man, I'm getting ready for Miss USA. Why don't you interview me about this health fair that you guys are having? I'm a key
content, yeah.
right? So and if they turn you down, then you go to the next person. So it takes a. I love the fact that, like, and I know we went on a tangent with the whole classic thing, talking about The Rock. I do feel like his likeness will promote the entire thing, which is great. I think everybody gets an opportunity, and being able to shake his hand on stage with the trophy is fucking incredible.
Yeah.
But to sit here and just say that that's all or nothing is not business smart. You know, because there's
let it hang in the balance on him. Not a good idea.
Can't put that on him. That's what I meant earlier when we're like, oh, we're on live, guys. But I'm like, which I appreciate, but at the same time, I can't rely. I people that watch me, like I've always said, you can't rely on someone else to be successful for you.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Like if The Rock wants success more than for my career more than I do myself. Number one, I don't deserve it, and number two, shame on me for not wanting it bad enough.
Yeah,
for not wanting it bad enough. Who the hell wants to help someone like that don't want it bad enough? People want to help you because they see you giving it everything you got, and then they're like, maybe it just needs 2%, and I can't offer 10, I can't offer 20, I can offer 1%. Maybe this guy can offer 0.5% of motivation and appreciation and sponsorship or whatever, to get him where he needs to go. And then we're not trying to ride the float with him, waving in the front of him. We just sit there and carry the bags and just be appreciated that we got to ride that journey. You know, so I think if the athletes think about it the way I'm describing it, they will recognize that this industry is about doing for you, but also keeping the greater scope of the sport involved. You have to think that your actions are promoting an industry that needs to survive. It has to. Why? Because we are the guinea pigs for society for health and wellness. We are. So you have to promote it well. You have to promote yourself well. You have to do maybe sometimes less joking around. It doesn't have to be Mr. Grunt and Cuss either. It just has to be less joking around, because I'm sorry, I've turned down some late night TV shows before of hosts that no longer are hosting for the simple fact that I didn't want to be made fun of. I wanted to be portrayed as who I really am, not something.
That's what the media does all the time. Yeah. Oh, lift a car for us, and you're like,
right?
What?
It's like I can do. Nah, man, come to my gym, come watch me train, ask me what I eat, go do a day in the life thing, and then make your story. Simple. Oh no, that's not gonna. Yes, it will, because
show how every waking hour is devoted to it.
Or ask real questions.
Yeah.
Ask real questions like, what really drives you? And do your homework. I did that interview with Patrick McDavid from Valuetainment, and he did his homework. He knew about all my shit, so that made a greater interview. But you need to be, and that means the athletes have to align themselves with people that know how to interview. Because just because you've held a phone to like this and you've talked into it 1,000 times over again, doesn't mean you know shit about broadcasting. Everybody is a broadcaster. But there's people that went to school for journalism. There's people that went to school for videography and engineering.
Can you imagine how hard some of that shit is? They got the microphone piece in their ear, delivering a message while they're trying to read a teleprompter and then add their own thoughts into it.
My stepdad was a TV engineer for an NBC affiliate in Seattle, Washington called King 5. And that was back when there were no robotic cameras. So imagine doing like a golf event, trying to find the ball, trying to find people. Imagine doing any type of sporting event or just the daily news. It took a lot of work. Now everything's so automated. It's just, it's easy, right?
Right.
Any of us can do podcasts.
Yeah.
Just get the app, talk into it.
We all have Instagram, Facebook.
Right. So it's how you use these resources is what's going to dictate how far you go and how impactful your words are. Sometimes the reason, I think, she didn't know how to draw, so maybe you agree with this or not, but let me ask you think the reason why people believe in what some of these pseudo guys think is because what they said the first time didn't resonate? It only did for like a short period of time, so then they have to keep talking to keep them focused, whereas meaning like they have to say a million words for people to be impacted, whereas other people can say it once and then they're done.
Yeah, I think
because that's why they keep doing this. That's why they keep talking, and that's why they keep having to train, because it's like I gotta force it down their throat for them to get it. It's like, but if you did it right the first time with your whole soul,
I think there's a couple of things going on there. I think number one, I think once you understand who somebody is, then you sometimes flip a little bit and just say, oh, that's just the way he is. Like if you joke around a lot, and I didn't know you joke around a lot, and you said some shit to me right off the bat and like hurt my feelings, you know what I mean? Like, but if once people learn like who you are, then usually they can celebrate it more. Right. So if somebody's fun or happy, or you know, sometimes you see a video of somebody like, man, this fucking guy's obnoxious. I can't stand this guy. Yeah. 3 weeks later, you love him. Right. Because you're like, I love the fire that this guy has. You appreciate what they bring. Maybe someone like even Branch Warren, somebody might think that guy's an asshole, man. Like that guy's going ballistic in the gym. It's like, no, he's not an asshole. That's just who he is. He's full of energy. He's being who he is, and I think that's sometimes a part of it. Yeah, I agree. I think a lot of us have to allow each other to be who we are. I mean, look at the difference between Kyrie and myself. I mean, he's more eccentric than I am. He just is. And I don't have, and I'm more direct. He's more long-winded with certain things. I'm more straight. But that doesn't mean that he's wrong, and I'm right. It just means that we're different. Right. And you know, I think what the cool opportunity we have is that we can learn to appreciate everyone's pure greatness. But I always challenge real-time authenticity from the person delivering, because we all have met a fake-ass pastor in the church. We've all heard about it. You don't think there's people online that do the same thing, trying to sell you something? They may not sell you today, though. They may come out with a product 2 years later after they got enough subscribers. By the way, everything's a sale. Absolutely. You know what I mean? Like, people need to understand that. That's true, too. I mean... Like, hey, what do you think of this? Do you like it? Do you like it? Right. The like button, hit the like button. Do you like it? That's everything's a little bit of a sales pitch in some way. It is. I think that's something interesting because, you know, I've had my clothing line for just about 10 years, and I think one of the things that we did was... how to stay relevant is just making sure we focus on the craft. And there's other companies that are launched that are bigger and this and that, but you know, I didn't spend the resources on the company while I was trying to be Mr. Olympia, but I made sure I wanted to have something that I owned. And some people are really good at execution too. Right. All you can do is put your hands together and absolutely. Pat them on the back. And you just say, hey man, that's freaking awesome. Good job. But when we're talking about selling, it's like, well, some things, yes, you have to be more vocal about, because maybe they don't believe you. Like if I said, hey, take this product and stuff like this, you wouldn't want to see me drink it. You wouldn't want to see me talk about it. You would probably need to see me have it in my hand probably 10 times before you actually thought about buying it. 10 separate posts, because that's just how people are. And then I realize that you actually believe in it. Right. They'll say, oh, well, so I do understand the mentality of trying to get people to trust you through just doing a weblog and this and that, and then you can come out with a product or some sort of t-shirt, hat, supplements, whatever it is. It does sometimes seem very hollow, though. Because what was your real goal? You know, maybe you pivoted and said, oh, man, I can do this. It's like, but that's what I'm talking about, the real-time authenticity. Was that your real goal to begin with? Because if it was, you should just say it. Like, that would be like me saying, all right, well, I got a clothing line. I'm coming out with a gift box, you know, that's a combination of different products and stuff from various companies that have nothing to do really with me endorsing it. It's just, these are cool things that I put in a box that people could buy for a fraction of the price. I got to sell it. But it's more like, how am I doing it? Well, reminding them that this is a variety of things that I think that are cool. Maybe you like it, maybe you don't, but I'm always going to put these cool things in there, and some people are going to try it. And it's more like helping people
saying, hey, you know, I don't work for the supplement company, but I can talk about the pre-workout for like 2 seconds. And be like, yeah, I tasted it, tastes good, this and that. Give it a try. Boom, done. Give this face wash a try. These sunglasses, whatever it is. You know, so there's different ways of selling things. I just think that we all want to know someone's intentions.
Yeah.
But it's just funny, like I do my own fitness app called the Fit app. So Phil Heath Instructional Training app. So people are like, well, why don't you do videos on YouTube? And I'm like, well, why should I? Well, because they're free. But I still have to pay a videographer. Well, you could get paid through YouTube. You know they changed the algorithms, right?
Yeah.
It ain't like what they used to be.
It's hard to build it up too. It takes a long time.
It takes a long time. I mean, you're gonna have to have like out of 365 days a year, probably over 100 videos within a year just to really see a return. And that doesn't mean that you will, because maybe you don't have 100,000 subscribers. And shit, that means that you might have wasted a lot of your own time. Or you realize that this is a long play. This isn't something I'm gonna make money on in the first year, maybe 2 years. This is something that maybe I get paid on in the next 5 years.
Yeah, the channel you're being filmed for right now started in 2006.
See, so your mindset had to be maybe not today, but definitely tomorrow. You know, and I
mindset was, I'm gonna show people that powerlifting's fucking cool. That was it. I'm gonna document it. I'm gonna show people. It's gonna be heavyweight, and people are gonna get to see. But what I'm trying to share with people in fitness in general is just, I want people to feel the way that I feel about lifting weights.
Right.
And I think a lot of us are after that same exact thing.
I think so. I think that's the whole purpose behind it. But I do recognize the business aspect.
Oh, of course.
Because you would have to be a real, I'll say this real quick. I mean, you have to be a real idiot to sacrifice your entire life and then actually become a pro at something and not expect to be paid for your time.
Right.
Why become a pro at something then? Because a professional, like a doctor, deserves to get paid.
Right.
Like a person with a profession deserves to get paid. So if you devalue your own brand, and I understand there's certain things you do for free, this and that, you do favors, you one hand washes the other, stuff like that, but it all has to lead to commerce because we all have to live. And it's not about saying like I have to step on the other person to get it. It just means that if you had a restaurant, I expect no family discount, because if I'm your friend, I'm gonna just pay. Like, or if you didn't give me this stuff, which I appreciate, and I wanted to buy it, I don't need your code. You know, if you don't have one available, I'm not gonna say, hey man, I need some stuff, and hook me up. Nah, man. Here's my credit card. Thank you very much. Appreciate you. Because that's what real adults and real pros and real friends do. They support others. So I think that's where, with part of me doing my own app, was that I needed to control the narrative and make it on an encrypted system to where people couldn't steal my content. Because people go online right now and they say, oh, I saw your YouTube videos are great. I'm like, oh, you're taking stuff from like my stories off of Instagram and making videos on them, and then the person that you're following it on is actually monetizing this shit. They're not making a lot of money on it, but they're monetizing something off of my likeness. Now, do I really want to hire?
Nice if they went to you and just asked, because you probably say, sure, man.
But this goes back to what we said about an hour ago: is that people want to steal. Yeah. They don't want to work hard. They want to steal from your. They want to steal your idea.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan. I think this will be an inspiration to a lot of people.
Or just say,
"Can I throw this together? I'm going to show you what it looks like." You'd be like, "That sounds great."
Or say something like that. Say, "Hey, I want to do a YouTube channel featuring you, and featuring other athletes. I'll give you a rev share on this, but you don't have to do any legwork. I'll do all the video stuff. I'll do the graphics. I'll do this and that and the other." I may say nowadays I'd say no, because I want to have my own shit, because it's like an independent record, rapper. It's like, nah, man, I'm independent. I can sell 500,000 copies instead of double platinum and actually make more money,
right? Because
I'm independent. So I created my own app because I figured, well, first of all, who wouldn't want to know the ins and outs of 7-time, hopefully 8-time Mr. Olympia? Number one. Number two, it is instructional, so you're going to find some things that I've learned over the course of my career that is going to enable you to do things the right way and not mess up your body. And number three, you get to follow the journey as I go from number 8, 9, and 10. And it's exclusive. and it's not going to be something shared. I mean, you know, I did take some advice from some friends and actually get with some good developers and use my IT background and, you know, try to encrypt this thing so where, because people shouldn't steal it. And that's what I think sometimes fans do. Like they feel like it's okay. You should feel bad. Like if you don't know, you don't know. That's fine. But I don't go on free chat rooms to try to go get the CD, the album.
Right.
I'll go to Best Buy and go buy it, or I'll get it on Tidal or iTunes, because that's just good karma. This is business. You should pay for something. You don't go to a grocery store and just steal this shit, do you? No. But people will steal your content, and that's where, for me, for a long time, I stopped putting out content because I was like, well, they're just trying to steal my shit. So now I had to create a different platform, and it is a subscription. And people say, oh, well, I don't want to pay $9 a month. And it's like, dude, your cell phone bill, they raise your taxes, you're paying $5. You go to Starbucks, you're definitely paying $10. That's just for one person. Sometimes people, oh, I'm in college. Really, dude? Well, guess what, man? Maybe this ain't for you. Right? You know, sorry you're having tough times, dude, but that cell phone you have does cost money, right? So maybe it's not on your high priority list. And a lot of time, especially with millennials, they want everything for free. They want all your knowledge for free, this and that for free.
You guys hear that?
Probably hear that shit a lot. Like, they want everything for free. And I'm thinking, do you respect it? Because if I'm getting free game, I'm like, thank you, thank you, thank you. I mean, it's like no hating, just thank you. So then that person feels appreciated, and then they give you more free shit. But if it's like it's an entitlement or expectation, come on, like, this person just gave you free stuff. He dies, and then YouTube owns it, and you get nothing.
Right.
So why not own your own shit? And you know what's funny? I'll tell you this. Having your own app is better than YouTube. Because how many emails do you own off of YouTube? How many emails do you own off of Facebook? How many emails do you own off of Instagram and Twitter? How many of them do you have?
Yeah.
Well, we do the post and they come to the website and this and that. You know how many steps that is? People are like, swipe through. No. You gotta simplify this thing. But if you have your own platform, just for them to get the platform, they gotta get the email.
Right.
Now I can have direct communication with you. I know who you are. I can send you free stuff. I can send you alerts. But I can't do that unless you participate, right? See, on YouTube and stuff, you can't really connect. Facebook, Twitter, all this other stuff, you can't really connect. I mean, I've connected with some fans through social media. Don't get me wrong. But when it comes to commerce, not at all. Very hard. Very hard. Because you have to, like, show people so much to get very little. And it does take time to build it up. But if you have, like, your own platform, like, who wouldn't want to own their own platform? Because first of all, we already know, like, through Facebook, Instagram, I don't think Twitter does it, but they will shrink your reach until you pay. And actually, they should make you pay.
Yeah.
Because it's their platform. It's their thing. They own it. But people get bad. Like, oh, man, only 1 million people saw my shit. I got 5 million followers. It's like, well, dude, like, you could pay the $500, but you don't want to. Or the $1,000, but you don't want to. But I bet you if you had your own website and you directed people just on there on a subscription, they would buy it. And maybe they don't. Maybe you don't have 5 million followers. Maybe you only have 50,000. But those 50,000 are key people that support you. And that would actually make someone a lot of money. And you would have fun doing it. So, you know, I look at even my career now, it's like, it's all about realizing who you are, the commerce side of things, and protecting your brand and making sure that if someone was to, and don't get me wrong, I mean, if I was making zillions of dollars and stuff, would I have a YouTube? Probably, you know, because I could afford to do it. I could afford to hire videographers and this and that in it, but it would also convert to something else. You see, so I think
you also went to school for some of this too, so you have maybe different look on it than someone else. Like maybe,
I respect the algorithm.
Yeah.
The algorithm game is like beyond people's
you
understanding.
might think about shelling out money maybe a little bit more than someone else.
Oh, for sure. I mean, to me, I'm all about reinvestment. I've done well for myself financially. I've had ups and downs financially, but I've always reinvested in myself more than I've taken out of the pot to go buy something.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then being willing to create different revenue streams, because that's just what business is. As an entrepreneur, that's just what you have to do.
I don't think you're an entrepreneur if you have one revenue stream.
Right. You have to pivot. You have to buy, sell, trade. You have to do all that to make it. And we're gonna have to get training. That's right. But at the end of the day, I don't think people have sat down with real Fortune 500 business people, or college professor in economics, or finance marketing major, or someone like that really knows what, or get the free game off of YouTube. You can, there's DIY stuff on everything, but buyer beware, because it is free. So you're only going to get, you're still going to have to do your own research. And I think that's where, sometimes we follow, it's like the blind following the blind. And that's why I always look at people like yourself who act.
Yeah.
Because if you just talking a big game, it's like, dude, like, you can't do this shit. So why are you telling me? You know what I'm saying? So that's why the biggest motivators and stuff like that, they always have the best stories, because they're like, yeah, I was broke, I was homeless, I was this, wife left me, or this, and you had fucked up shit, and you knew, and you got out of it, and now you're trying to shell out free game to the world, so then they can say you're not alone. So
success and progress are linked. Like, it's hard to have success without being able to move forward, without being able to have progress. Do you associate financial gain with success in some regard?
In some regard, yeah, but it only gets you so far, right? It puts a roof over your head, which is great. You can buy some things that you never thought you could buy. But, look, I made a lot of money in this industry. I can't lie. Am I happy with what I made? No, because I know that I should be making more. I just should, because I've been around it long enough to say, yeah, Phil, like, you should be doing things inside and outside of bodybuilding that yield X amount. But that doesn't mean that I'm successful. It just means that I'm more into the revenue stream, like being able to do something outside of my comfort zone, mm-hmm. and making that grow. So it could be me running a restaurant one day. It could be doing another supplement company one day. It could be a shoe company or whatever it is. Like, I have the know-how and the guts to go out there and do it, just like I did the first time I tried to do it. So I think your success is knowing that you can fail, but you can learn very fast and get back up and never lose hope, never mess up who you are, and keep trying. Who's to say that? Look at it like this. When you have levels of success, it became because of failure in some aspect. So if you did it for just the money, the money gets spent. The IRS takes half of it. You know what I mean? They take
a lot.
They take a lot, man. So, I'm only getting so far with that Olympia check, right? So I got to do other things throughout the year to generate the income that I want. But it doesn't. The income, I think, when you're young, validates you because you can buy shit that it's more adult-like. So, like, when you're 20 years old and you can buy yourself a little BMW M3 or something like that, you think you're hot shit. Mm-hmm. When you can go from a Casio to a Movado to a Tag, you think you done made it. When you're young, when you get older, you're like, shit, I can only wear one of these. Yeah, I want that Rolex, and maybe I want that Audemars, maybe, but I'd rather go on this vacation with my family and stuff. I'd rather, put this money away for kids' college. I'd rather go fix our house. Your priorities change. So you start realizing that the wealth is just the piece that you can gain. That's the real wealth, is the time with The real wealth is with people that you love, the people that, you know, appreciate you and you can have great rapport with. Because like you said, I mean, the money can come and go. You could be broke one day, you could be rich the next. The more money has created more problems for me. I can't lie. You know, I mean, it just happens. People have expectations. You know, oh, why do we need to, like for instance, why do we need to buy your app? You already make enough money. Literally, someone would say that. It's like, it's funny you say that because you go on Tidal and go buy, you know, a monthly membership.
Right. Yeah.
It's weird. Like that doesn't make any sense. Like you go to the grocery store, you go to the restaurant. Okay, so you don't want to see the person that you actually are a fan of make money? I wear LeBron James tennis shoes, man. Like, did that money go into his pocket? Maybe.
Hope so.
Hope so. I hope it did because I'm supporting him. I support him. Hey, I think you're the greatest. You know, support Jordan the same way, right? So if I buy your sleeves, like, hell yeah, I hope that money go to you. Because I'm getting something.
Yeah.
I'm getting something that you made. Like you made with your hands and with your mind. So I think when people can value that, that's when you see commerce at its finest. Because it helps everybody. You know, we all want to spend money on things. Yeah. We just do, you know. But it's easier when you're dealing with more authenticity, and then, like you said before, we agreed that it's the intentions of the individual pushing the product.
Yeah.
Not trying to fool someone for a short-term gain. You know, half the companies that we would see on bodybuilding.com are gone. You know.
Yeah, they come and go quick.
Why is that? Oh, we were just going to do this for 5 years. Why only 5? Maybe you were cheating the system or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not taking digs at anybody in particular. Yeah. I'm just saying, like, but wouldn't you want to help someone for as long as you could? If it's the latest and the greatest and this and that, you know what I'm saying? Maybe you're just false prophet. Like, I want to be influential to people in health and fitness until the day I die. I want to be like the Black Jack LaLanne, for crying out loud. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to just stop working out when I'm retired. I want to use what God gave me and help people. Do I want to get in movies and this and that? Yeah, absolutely.
Black LaLanne. There we go.
Black LaLanne. Light skin, green eyes. Yeah. But, you know, that's me wanting to do things outside my comfort zone as well. So, you know, overall, I just feel like everybody has that gift inside. They just have to not be afraid of it, and not always try to. People think they're standing out, but they're really blending in with a lot of people that don't matter. And so, what makes you different? Your actions, not this.
What are we training today?
We're training back. My wifey just hit me up, so she's pissed.
Uh-oh.
So we're gonna.
Where are you at?
So we're gonna have to make this a quick one.